maybe one day we can make it to Paris with everything that's happening right now. But you know what? Let's see which map we're going to be playing on. I am very, very interested in this because I think if we just look at pure numbers, you can agree MnM definitely have an advantage in this. And Macko had the last ban. They removed Consulate. They take us to Oregon. All right.
I mean, the thing about coming into this was, for me, whatever the map ban phase went, it was kind of going to go MnM's way. They have a win on every single map. They're maybe the only team that has a win on every single map across CL and across their National League performance. They've obviously been able to pull blood. MnM have Clubhouse. That's their map. I mean, if we're just looking at CL, they did what, 2 play days of it? Oh, they 7-0'd both of those play days on Clubhouse. You don't take MnM to Clubhouse. Other teams that they've beaten on Clubhouse, how about little teams like Na'Vi, G2, Vitality? Oh, the Clubhouse list of MnM is long.
And I would like to remind everybody, I'm still used to this best of 1 series format, so you'll have to excuse me. EU has really been creeping deep into my head, but Clubhouse, as you were saying, Fluke, picked up by MnM. Theme Park going through from Macko. Of course, it's ban, pick, so you kind of need to be very careful on how you do your bans. And I'm wondering, okay, what's the major reason why Macko banned Coastline against MnM, and why they might feel comfortable with bringing in Theme Park for this app?
Well, I was looking at the notes, Fluke Perdan is like, do not go to Clubhouse. They failed. Kavana picked up well back then against Windstrikers and do not go to Oregon. I'm just quickly checking the map bans, and I can see they played Clubhouse once and they get a 50% win rate, meaning they drew it up. So I really have no clue why they decided to go for it. Maybe they think there's a lot to gain out of those 2 7-0s in terms of how they played and in strategy, able to counter-strat. We'll have to wait and see, I'm afraid.
The thing about Theme as well, sorry to just jump
in
there.
No, go ahead.
It was the map that, to be fair, maybe they've seen it as a bit of a weakness because it was a 7-5, a victory to MnM against August, which is one of the, arguably the weaker teams from that group and that setup. But they started on attack that time round, and they took 5 of their defenses in a row. So now you're going against MnM, who are starting on their defense on Theme Park, and they did 5 in a row before. They hit 6 in a row, which is the much typed about in all chat, what, you couldn't get 6 defenses in a row, which happened in our UKIN games, as all of the all chat stuff does. I mean, it's gonna be a tough day. Where do you take a team that can go anywhere? Pick your poison.
So how do you see this happen? At the end, we were talking about how MnM goes. Which map? Because let's be very, very clear. Which map, in reality, should or could you see Macko taking today to maybe take it to a map 3 and gather an advantage there? Because let's be honest, we were all surprised by the fact that Kavana beat Windstrike in their own right. So maybe today a second upset.
You want me to be honest or give the public friendly answer?
Look, there are many things about you that are very hot. I would like to hear a hot take.
They're going to get 2-0 by MnM. That's the hot take here. I'm just looking at it. Macko, they struggled winning their opening duels as well. 47% of them was MnM have a 60% opening duel one. If you combine that with them starting out on the defense on Theme Park, for example, you're not going to be winning that. And we already basically established that MnM on Clubhouse is also another beast. So, Macko, if they want to win a map, I think they'll have to start off on Clubhouses straight away, because I don't think Theme Park will be rolling their way either.
All right. I'm wondering then, since we're kind of discounting Clubhouse as this map is just going to go MnM's way regardless, I'm wondering what Macko can show on Theme Park that might give them their, an advantage on it, because I assume they pick the map, so it would be MnM to pick which side they start on. Defense is usually the go-to, right?
I mean, yeah, if you go theme and you choose attack first, you're having something's going on. Something's crazy there. MnM used to be a team that did sometimes pick attack first. To be fair, they would like to do it because it was before they obviously got users and Fonkers. They were a team that set themselves up in a position and situation where they would throw people off when they were in, I think it was CL Season 11. They would play their attacks first because people would be like, whoa, this team's really good on their attack. And then when they went on to their defense, they had all of that momentum behind them. Theme, though, as I said, it's a thing. you try and hit 6 defenses on theme. At the minute, at least in the UKIN region, it becomes, you lose one, pathetic, rubbish defense. And I feel like they're going to set themselves up there. Is it alright if I have the map bans up very quickly? Just to kind of break down maybe why they could have gone here. Is obviously if the other options that they have is Cafe Consulate and Oregon, Consulate is the second highest banned map against MnM. In fact, no, it's the highest banned map. No map has been banned against them more than Consulate. So that being removed makes sense because they've also played it twice and won it twice from that selection. Cafe, for me, would have potentially been a better option. They've had 2 losses on Cafe, a draw and a win. It's statistically MnM's worst map. Not to mean that it's a bad map for them, but they haven't had as good a time on that. And they most recently drew Penta 6-6 on it.
All right. You know, the biggest conversation point for me is that MnM have so much to give in this matchup, but they also are late for their match, which means that they are technically ready to play in EU League just by virtue of that fact alone. So, you know, completely understandable. Final point though, Hap, is there any way that, you know, Macko can survive this on Clubhouse? Let's focus very quickly on the first map.
There's always hope to survive, and I think it has to do with breaking down whatever your opponent, like, okay, so there's 2 ways of going at it.
Very quickly,
like,
our game's
either
almost ready.
counter-strat, okay, so either counter-strat or you play disruptive and play your own games. Either one of those 2, which one suits them more, that is the way to survive.
All right, I want to see how this goes. Map number 1 in our series between Macko and MnM is about to start. It's the Impasta, #Impasta, and #UK Massive on the other end that are starting off in their matchup. So let's toss it over to our casters. Why don't we? It's their first out of 3 maps today in play day number 2 of EUCL playoffs, and it's just a chew that'll guide us through it. All yours.
Thank you very much, Milos. Who else was it going to be, realistically, except for us two to bring this down, where there's a UK massive team on one side and Jess's favourite little Italian squad on the other. Either way, it's going to be a screamer. We balance each other out. So I think at the end of the day, Jess, we can call it a gentleman or a woman's agreement, whichever way you want to go, and shake hands in the middle and say this should be a good match.
I'm excited for it either way. Look, whether MnM runs away with Clubhouse or not, I think as we get to the second map and even potentially the third, we might see a bit of a butting of heads more often than we would on Clubhouse for MnM. I mean, this is an MnM map. It's like when you used to take SSG to Clubhouse, for example. I think Macko have misinterpreted what their first ban should have been. But it doesn't really matter because you only need 2 out of the 3. Say you lose the first, you've still got chances to bring it back in the reverse sweep. For Macko now, I want to see them coming in big. They start on defense. That's their chance.
I'm very shocked to see that Theme Park's going to be the second map where inevitably MnM will be the one starting on defense. And there is that curse that goes around is that no one wants to start an attack on Theme Park. A lot of teams struggle. So I'm hoping Macko have got something really spicy planned for us there. But either way, we're into the bans here for Clubhouse. Maverick going to be the first one taken away, followed by the Monty for MnM. I wonder if we see the Shield duo banned away here with the Clash following through.
Possibly. I mean, for Macko, they might even just repeat their bans, and you are right, that second Shield ban will come out, but maybe Macko will get rid of the Go-Yo. Last time they played on Clubhouse, and the only time they did play on Clubhouse was against Granite. They banned the Maverick, they banned the Go-Yo. Do they repeat that here? It looks like they will, and this seems to just be a comfort thing for them. They don't want to deal with those shields. They don't want to deal with the Maverick either, and we have Thatcher in play as well, which means Kaid and other electricals and wall denial won't be as pungent as it would otherwise when you do have the Thatcher ban. Instead, you've got to rely on the Maverick. I'm interested to see Clubhouse play with the Thatcher and no Maverick. Now we've got Ace, etc. I think it'll be much easier for the attackers, which is what Macko really didn't want, let's be honest.
In a way, they have made it easy with the Goya ban away, but to me, it's just screams of a problem that I noticed in their game against Gamma when I was watching it back yesterday, is that sometimes utility is their detriment. They just sometimes can't get past certain setups that teams have done. They rely on over-peaking, being aggressive. The number of times that Ted would swing around a corner and kill 2 or 3 people was absolutely absurd. So that today, for me, is their biggest strength. But you are coming up against an MnM side where you've got players like Nate, who on a supportive role clicks heads like there is no tomorrow, like it's his last game of Siege ever. It's unbelievable. So I'm really excited to see how the likes of Keenan, Teb stack up against the likes of Nathan on the other side, and whether or not Macko have really got something to bring here against MnM. We start off on the downstairs, mind you, inside of Church and Arsenal. Nothing really notable in terms of setups coming out of either side when you look at those operator lineups. You maybe give a small nod towards Macko here. going with the denial from the Kite, which will be negated mostly by the Thatcher. But I'm then looking towards the Maestro and the Valkyrie and thinking, man, that's a lot of intel.
Yeah, both sides have really good compositions here. I can't swing it either way, just purely out of the fact that maybe having a Thatcher in hand, and if he can stay alive for as long as possible, he might do really well. I think Teb wants to be quite disruptive here, and we've actually seen him be the kind of player that tries to grab a few drones, run away, waste a bit of time, and then swing when it suits him, or whether he's put into a pinch position as well. So I don't think he'll go into an early engagement just yet. I think he'll hope to sort of grab a drone or two and be a bit disruptive. But with that Thatcher in hand, I feel like this is going to be really hard for them to hold off on these hatches and walls.
I describe, in my own head at least, Teb as the Italian Joe. He's the guy, especially on the map like this, who will be at every single window and doorway looking to be cheeky in those early engagements. And if it isn't getting kills, like you say, it is bringing down drones. It is giving the attacking side a headache. And that's what I'm looking for from Macko, is to be disruptive. That's where the strength has got to come in. But for MnM so far, things seem to be going the way they want. They've got Fonkers on the Zofia, playing in a natural position here on Clubhouse, halfway up blue stairs, looking to contest in towards the generator and back into the bar area. A couple of drones helping him out on that front, with Yonka currently holding out below him. And I imagine the rest of the team will turn their attentions towards kitchen, towards bar, looking to get those hatches open. And with Dats on this sledge, smashing the living hell out of that hallway floor so they get some good angles downstairs.
It's almost the halfway mark, and I don't think they have got that hatch open yet. I think what they're trying to do is make sure they get a double Thatcher down, because if it does manage to get tricked here, the second Thatcher and EMP will come out, and that will stop that from happening. They've decided to employ 2 Selmas on it instead of the Hibana charges, which is fair enough, but maybe they're going to use it on the church wall. Maybe that's something they're going to try and attempt to do, and somehow Nafe stays alive on the table, of course. When you give yourself a little bit of elevation, you can get away from some of that explosion radius. Unfortunately, Dats is not so lucky, and is this going to be the impact trick? Possibly. I think that's the boss's job, and somehow in a half-blinded state, he makes it.
Yeah, I was wondering actually how many they might have in terms of the impacts here, but I think it's just the 2 on the Maestro in this instance. It is indeed, so there's nothing else really left for them but to rely on using that to deny away the X-Kairos. So maybe that's what it comes down to. You need all 3 of these X-Kairos to get it open. In this case, quite simply not going to happen, as Nath has died. Maybe that explains why those Selmas are being used in alternative locations. But here for MnM, it's going to scream to me, this is going to be a moto drop, it's going to be a push down main stairs. They've got to be super mindful of those C4s coming singing out from the players of Macko based on where they are holding. But before they can even think about going for an execute, they are being picked apart at the seams by the side of Macko. A 5 versus 2 left. Fonk is trying to make something happen from blue. We'll find Teb. It's a small bit of solace, I think, for them, as this round looks all but done and dusted. Try as they might, Fonk has got to pull off a miracle here. A 1 versus 4 inside 10 seconds. Simply not going to happen. And Macko, just snatching body after body, will run away with round number 1.
I think what really came in clutch there was the fact that Teb was able to peek out onto Ace on Moto, and I don't know what Fonkers was doing at the time, but it certainly wasn't holding that. And that misalignment of time, those mere seconds that Teb was able to peek out, get rid of the Ace, who would have had the smokes and the ability to get the plant down, you're missing yet another member of your team after Dats went down to a C4. Things are looking pretty dire. You're going down to kills. Fonkers tried, of course, and Teb, he couldn't sit still, so of course he's going to peek out. He gets a free kill there, but for the most part, you're down to many numbers. They've got everything on lock. Kitchen hatch is still closed. Things are looking pretty damn good for Macko at that point. And now they'll go up into CCTV. And the big change here that we have to note is Jenna is going to take the Wamai. And sometimes Teb will play it, sometimes Jenna will play it. Sometimes we'll see Sabos on a full frag roll, sometimes we'll see him on a full support roll. So it's good to see that some of these players are a bit flexible, and it will all depend on the site by the looks of it, because now they want to mute, now they want a couple of these operators that will really assist them at holding off for as long as they can.
And you touch on Serbos sometimes playing on these more aggressive ops. Here, playing on the Bandit, you just don't know what you're getting with this operator. Some players like to sit in the Bandit trigger wall, which is what I expect will happen on this site, especially given the placement of that shield. Others like to just run around the map and try and frag out with them. We've seen some players with all 4 Bandit charges in the back pocket, running around seeking kills and trying to play behind C4s. It really is a coin toss on what you're going to get team to team. But here, given that the mute is also on side, along with that Jaeger and Wamai, it does just scream denial to me all the way through.
And why not? I mean, you got rid of the Maverick, you're forcing them to have to use EMPs. You can Bandit trick EMPs. It's a little bit more difficult now that it's, gone to a disable rather than a destroy. So you have to be really careful with your placement. That shield will block any grenades that might sail through it. Also sometimes blocks the concussion, which might sail through there. They've got a couple of Wamais to be able to catch them if they do try and do it that way. What I am surprised, however, is that on the attacking team, not that really there's a lot of room for it, of course, in the composition, but they could have brought a Capitao as well. That might have helped out a little bit. And, I mean, there's not an unlimited amount of magnets, of course. They only, regenerate over time. So you could get there early, get some damage done, get that wall open.
I think what you're seeing MnM doing here is what quite a few European teams have started doing lately, and that is completely ignoring CCTV wall. You acknowledge there are bandit charges there are shields there's a hell of a lot of denial all engineered in that direction. So instead you take over bedroom, going towards construction, and then look to smash your way through that single direction. BDS strike me as a team that did this very, very well. Teb trying to contest up top is not going to be able to find anything, but I say that. There's a trade elsewhere onto Nathan, so it's not a overall loss for the side of Macko. It is losing the Teb there, who was contesting from below inside a kitchen. It does mean that this west side of the map should now be in control of MnM, but again, it's more damage, it's more slowing down, it's more force droning for MnM, it's more time wasting, and we saw exactly how that worked out last round.
Actually, you don't realize it, but this is a huge pick. They're doing a bedroom push, and we know that the side of Macko likes the impact trick. Excairos placed on the bottom to be able to ignore that impact trick are really, really important. Without your Excairos to do it, you're relying on the Selmas, and by placing a Selma low, you'll only get that foothold. So for the most part here, if they can't get rid of that C4 that might sail over the top, or an impact trick that might be available, although no impacts on the side of the defense, so nothing available now. But if they had gone with that, that would have been a really big pick, and that's another big pick there for Elation, who's usually quite a passive player for Macko.
This is the thing, Macko will swing you, and MnM should know this. You watch back at any of the games that we've seen Macko play, they love going aggressive. They will not play conventional siege, they will keep on trying to disrupt you. Dare I say, it's almost like a LATAM style, or at least old LATAM style, where it was, look, go for kills, don't be afraid, get up in their face, make them uncomfortable. Servos tries to get his C4 out through the newly opened holes, but shot out immediately by Yunker, I think, who was a little bit too aware of what the plan was. They now have CCTV open after they've already opened up construction, so both key elements of the entry are opened up here, but in a 3 versus 3 with 15 seconds to go, this is set to be an absolute bloodbath. Here we go, Yunker trying to get his way in, but Keenan, he's ready and waiting. Traded back by Yuzu, smoke is down, 2v2, low health members on the side of MnM have got a lot to do inside 3 seconds if they want to keep this one alive. Plant is going down, do they know about Keenan playing here at the top of red? He's going to step in, going to fire onto the Funkers going for the plant. A little bit too easy, and just again, Macko's game plan of running that clock down to almost nothing bites MnM in the backside.
That was a really good shot from the carbine there of Keenan. We had to point that one out, and that was over towards the breach. I was actually surprised that given they took that bandit, they took everything that you would expect them to take for that wall denial, they didn't also bring someone with impacts. I think that probably could have elevated their options there towards that construction wall. And I think that's a very important wall to make sure you keep closed, because I don't know how many games of Clubhouse, I mean, even you and I have just watched together, almost always that wall will get open in some way, shape or form, even with a Maverick ban, even with a Thatcher ban, some way, shape or form, CCTV happens to get open. So you're not likely to going to be able to keep it closed the whole time. You are, however, going to be able to delay, which was the job there of the bandit. And then you've got to make sure that once that's open, you don't also let construction go, because then you're just pinched. But Macko, they make good work of that.
Another change in terms of operators coming out here as well. This is normally the site where you'd see things like a bandit coming out, or a castle, or even a kite in some instances, maybe a mirror. None of that to be seen. Again, seeing that Jaeger and Ramai coming out, them loosely stepping into the field for the first time, alongside that Valkyrie making a return once again. So for Macko, you look at them at face value and go, well, they're getting a lot of aggressive kills. You've got Ted playing in kitchen, he's roaming around the map in round number 1. It's just them playing aggressive. I'd say no. A lot of it is down to this utility-informed aggression, because we've seen the Maestro and the Valkyrie a couple of times now. They're playing around the information as a team and using that to say, right, players pushing here, let's go and cause some trouble. And it feels like just as MnM are starting to adapt, it's like, okay, now here are Banshees to deal with. Macko keeping them guessing. I'm loving seeing it.
Well, they're going to do a cache extension here. And this was popularized way, way, way long ago. This is just sort of the meta now, that if you're going to hold gym and you want to extend, this is how you would do it. Double reinforcement on the server wall. Make sure that no one can just sort of open it up and expose you. Some teams will also fully reinforce the walls over to red. However, I don't think Macko have done that, because they're playing Teb there with a shield. I like this iteration of this, because it means that no one can pinch you from both sides without having to go through an entire player. And in this case, an entire shield as well.
Very common for the attackers to want control of red, as you say, to catch anyone trying to go off the retreat. So Teb being there is definitely going to be a detractor. And for MnM, it's going to be another multi-step process. Start out here in CCTV, get it cleared out, and then look to try and go for your push forwards. 60 seconds in, and they know that they've still got to do a lot of work to get rid of these players that are holding at the very back, and quite cautiously as well. Teb not over-peaking at this point, just saying, look, you want to waste a bunch of grenades, you want to put a bunch of drones in, it's absolutely fine by us. We will happily wait and pull back when the time is right. And in fact, now maybe happy they've gone through a couple of frags. As Kairos have come out, they say now's our time, we can back away, we have wasted utility, but they've got to be so mindful of users here playing on the window. He could get pre-fired here actually by the player that's hanging just to the left of the window frame, but no, it's Elation. I think he's just holding here in case they need more support. And Teb is going to be the first one to go down along with Jenna. So it did take 90 seconds, but MnM have found the 2 kills they need out towards the east.
Unfortunate for Macko there, they actually had no impact on any one of the MnM players outside of utility and outside of time. Maybe that will work in their favor. We saw that on the downstairs attack, that worked against MnM and they were rushing and making mistakes. But I think when you've got a 5v3, it's a site like Gym, you're not really going to struggle when you have 2 whole man advantage here. It means that Macko have to watch a lot of angles and there's only 3 of them to do it.
Do manage to find one back onto Dats, bringing us into a 4 versus 3. Still a few drones left alive for MnM here. 3 to give the exact count, which should, if they choose to get back on them, help them get their way in, find out where these players are, and even try and look for some pre-fires. There comes one actually at Nate as he darts his way in, finds one. Kenneth to trade back once again. Oh my god, make that a 3rd. And Keenan, my bad on that one, a 3rd kill for him in the round. Brings things down to a 1 versus 2 for users, and just in a round where it felt like things were starting to go right for MnM, Keenan chooses that to be the round that he comes up absolutely huge. 20 seconds to go, a 1v2, diffuser on the ground. I think it's fair to say, Jess, this round's probably done unless users can go absolutely massive here and get himself a 2k in the closing seconds. Tries to find one, but Keenan's going to close things out with a 4k in round number 3 and shut down MnM's dreams of their first round here on Clubhouse.
I just love when a team proves me wrong. It's always so flattering and it humbles me dearly. Because in a 5v3, in a situation where not a lick of health has been taken off you, and you still have quite a considerable amount of time, I'm talking post 60 seconds kind of stuff here, you should not be losing that. You should not be letting people swing like that. The only confident swing I saw was from MnM, and was from Nafe rather, from MnM, when he swung in and he got the player behind the bomb chassis because he knew he was there. But the risk he took to get that kill, why didn't he coordinate with his teammates? Why didn't he focus on the objective? I am worried for MnM because I look over to my stats here and I say, okay, compared to Macko, they're not even on the leaderboard for top players in Challenger League. And they're the top rated team in their group. They're not even on the leaderboard. So this goes to show me that it means they've got less than 5 players for that entire season. So they're clearly not a very objective-based team. There's not a huge attacking sample size because they did start on defense a lot, but it goes to show that quite clearly they're used to winning a round from elimination, and they can't do that here against Macko. They're just ready.
It has been one of those. I mean, looking back at their results, the 7-0 against Peakine, the 7-0 versus Homeless on the final day, and yes, okay, the 7-5 that came up against August is what it is in that case, and 2 draws against Penta and Kavana. Very little in the way of objectives coming down then. The game against Kavana was interesting because Kavana had 5 plants in that game. In a single game, their objective focus was huge. Whereas here for MnM, not yet present, but as you say, I think a lot of that came down to the confidence they have in the fragging to close rounds out. Players aren't afraid of walking forwards, contesting players, getting kills to close rounds out, rather than having to rely on a post-plant situational advantage. We go back now to the downstairs. So a repeat of the 3 sites we've seen so far. A clean sweep is worth adding for Macko. Not a line that I thought I'd be saying so far, with 3 rounds in the bag. And in my mind, not a whole lot that they need to be changing here. They look confident. They look like they know what they're doing. They can get up in MnM's face. They can cause them to be a little bit uncomfortable. And you're still looking on the MnM side here and saying, who's that player that's going to step up and drag them through some of these tough rounds in the same way that Keenan did for Macko in the previous one?
My big problem is that they're using these drones to spot out some of these Macko players that might be roaming, and the only player on the downstairs, at least, that has ever tried to roam is Teb, and he's not really roamed quite deep into the map. And so once they send a drone there, they confirm that he is lurking in, blue stairs or whatnot, but no one's there to act on the information. So it seems a little bit of a, we confirm he's near site, we confirm that he's kind of rotated up, he's in an aggressive position. No one acts on it, drone's lost, and then all of a sudden you don't know where he is. He could have rotated back up for all you know. So I think for MnM, you can see that they're a bit stressed about this game. They obviously know that there's a lot of pressure, and they're not quite as coordinated as we once see them throughout the season.
Keen to see if that settles once it comes into the second half, or even into their defensive half of Theme Park. Time will tell. And I think I think they already burnt one of their EMPs on the bar hatch and it's now opened back up again, or at least re-electrified. They'll have to go through another and then commit a second on top of it, so they can't go for the double trick here. And in fact, Jenna's not even going to bother trying, as indeed the second one did come out. I'm not sure then if they can now run around and commit that Electro Claw in towards Kitchen, because they could deny that hatch pretty much outright unless they make use of grenades to clear it. Either way, once more, it could be a very difficult situation for MnM, even when they still have the Hibana left and onside.
Oh, well read into that situation. Last time those feed holes were a big detriment to Macko. They won anyway, but that was something where Jenna couldn't sit on triple wall. Now only the left-hand side is open, and this is so much easier. But guess what? Fonkers makes up for his little bit of a slip-up in the last time he attacked bottom floor, and this time he'll finally be able to walk in and get a much bigger impact. And now it looks to be going MnM's way. This might be their first round here, Des, unless the Macko boys have something to say about it.
Look at the contest here as well, because Jenna's in a real good power spot here to be able to contest onto main stairs where there are 2 remaining. There's only 3 members of MnM left, so you can find a single kill here. That could be big for them, but off the back of the drone, Nathan knows and finds the kill onto Jenna. 3 versus 1. Cerbos has got to work absolute wonders here. Goes down low, steps back through, and I was going to say the time might help him a bit here, but Fonkers finds his 3rd kill of the round and makes sure MnM get over the finish line. A lot of that being orchestrated by his double kill inside of blue.
Yeah, did a really good job there. He actually had 2 people aggressing onto him, so that's something that actually Macko should have won. They've been having a lot of 1v1s. 1v1s they actually probably shouldn't be winning, but on a 2v1 in that instance, that's probably something you should win. So it seems that Macko are thriving under a heck of a lot of pressure, and then when they've got an advantageous position, they kind of just do worse. It's kind of strange. Not sure what that's about. Maybe the adrenaline's pumping. But for Macko now, losing 1 defensive round, it's not too bad. You're on your defense. You don't want to lose any more than 2. That would probably not bode very well for the second half, especially when you're not a very attacking-sided team. So for me now, Macko's got to put their foot down and go, we know what we did wrong there. We lost players we shouldn't have. Let's make sure we're focusing on the plant denial, because MnM aren't a plant-heavy team.
Got to give a nod to Fonkers as well. 3 opening kills in the last 3 rounds, the first 2 being on Teb, the last one being on Keenan. Really getting things moving for MnM, even if the rounds ultimately do not convert. He is sat on 6 kills, surpassed only by Keenan on the other side, currently on 7. And let's not forget the 4 of those came in round number 3. But either way, you're starting to see already who the front runners are going to be for either side here as top contributor when it comes to numbers on the scoreboard. Once more, we head back upstairs, as you would expect, into Cash and CCTV. Now, last time round when we were sat here, the Hibana died up pretty early on. And that was the same story in round number 1 when Nathan was inside a kitchen. Want to make sure they're preserving his life a little bit longer here, because sure, the ace can do a lot of work, but nowhere near as much when you've also got Desert Skyro still on side.
It's funny you speak about Nathan, because
I just saw him staring at the bullet hole, and I was like, surely not, surely not. But no, he gets banged. Of course he does.
Yeah, funny you speak about Nath. Of course, we've just cast a curse him to his death yet again as one of the first opening deaths. That's fine. But for the most part, I wanted to bring up the fact that he was the 2nd highest rated player in all of Challenger League for the regular season. He had a 1.3 rating. He was one of the highest rated players. The next rated was Dats at a 1.16. And well, when you're such a high rated player, when you're so used to having so much impact, how triggering do you think of that occasion right there? And this whole match so far has been for him.
He's experiencing what Doki had against Rogue when Na'Vi brought them here, and Doki had his thermite day, as we called it, and in 6 of the rounds on attack, 3 of them, he was spawn killed inside the opening 15 seconds. They're just saying, look, welcome back to Clubhouse. We know that it's your map. Don't expect to stay alive for very long. But you are right in what you're saying there around him being top rated. I touched on at the start how he has been one of the big fraggers for this team despite playing in a supportive position. Here, he's not even able to get started because of the damage that Macko are inflicting on MnM early on. It's shaking their confidence. It's leading to more time being wasted. That's where the majority of those first 3 rounds came from.
Well, without those Exkyros this time, I think they'll just do the same that they did last time and make sure they get those Selmas on the wall. No impacts, like I alluded to last time, which means they're just going to focus on... Did they just stature that mute?
Yeah, the jammer.
Huh.
I think they are so conscious of what's going on and what Macko have been doing with Keenan and Teb so far that you'd rather commit that to make sure you're safely able to drone the room so you don't get picked up on the way in than just blindly trying to walk in past a mute jammer.
Fair enough. Look, fair enough. They're going to commit...
It's excessive maybe, but fair.
They're probably only going to commit 1 or 2 of these EMPs to this wall here, and I think that Yuzu was just trying to throw one there, and there we go. And they should be able to get that one. Nothing else to deny it other than a C4 below on Teb. And I think for him now, the big thing will be is that he's seen a couple. I don't think they know he's here, and surely they should have a drone on this. Someone should be aware of this. And no, they get out to safety.
I think what hurts me the most is Yonka still has both of his drones in his back pocket. They only have 2 on field, and your support player still has both in the back. That's not ideal, and you know against this team what kind of drone games they want to play. Those drones should be out in the field helping you hold flank angles at the very least, but maybe it's here waiting for things to get opened up so he can drone the rest of his team in once it comes around to execution time. Speaking of execution time, it's got to come through fast because we are going into the final 15 seconds here, Jess. 5 versus 4 for Macko. They hold the advantage. Yonka's going to find 1, but is 1 enough? That is garage clear, but they have got no time to play with here. 2 kills come through for Macko. Funkers has to come off the plant to contest. Will find 1. Has now got to stick it in the default. Is there a C4 coming through? There's a Mute and a Valkyrie. Surely someone has got it somewhere. He might just be able to stick this one. Yes, he will, except he has a slither of HP. Keenan comes up big again with 3 kills. Does he convert the final? Elation does from below instead. But either way, it's another big round for Keenan. Another big round for Macko as they go 4-1.
The moment that I saw that Selma get bandit tricked off the CC wall, and mind you, Sabos had been sitting there that entire round. The commitment to make sure that platform wall stays closed is admirable. Absolutely have to give it to him. He knew his job and he played it till the damn end. And the moment that he got that off, he knew everything was good. And Yonka had to just sprint straight into garage to even assist his team in doing any kind of damage. That flurry, that escapade that MnM tried to attempt was just not going to go anywhere. It was fruitless. What do you expect? You've left time to nothing. And good early picks though from Macko yet again. It's seeming like they've got a little bit of a trend here of nice aggression and good understanding of utility usage.
Touch on the time thing again. Realistically, their MnM's sole focus was out towards construction, didn't pay too much heed towards CCTV, and only very late into the round did they actually make a push into garage. What happened for 2 minutes other than Nathan getting caught out at the very start? I have a feeling that with the limited utility that was on the fly, they were like, well, we haven't got the X-Kairos anymore. We can't easily get East Wall open. Let's go and look towards construction. That's going to be our sole focus. Where to from here? And they got a little bit hung up. And this is, mind you, without a Goyo present as well, where a lot of teams will get stung, is they've run out of utility, they haven't got enough grenades or explosives to deal with those Goyo shields. And then what? You are genuinely stuck and are forced to make some very risky plays, but MnM are putting that pressure on themselves without having those Goyos to deal with. That's something they've got to fix here, because Macko, with the way they're playing with Keenan, 2 huge rounds, round 3 with a 4K, the last round with 3K to drag his team through in the dying seconds. He could very well bring this to a 5-1 for his team, and suddenly Macko could be in the straight run to go and win Clubhouse of all maps to beat MnM on.
Well, sometimes we eat our own words when it gets onto the second half, and then a big old reverse sweep comes out because of the defensive sidedness of both teams. So we will wait and see. But my big thing here is, does Jenna do what he... I actually think if Jenna does what he did last time, where he'll keep one electric law on the moto hatch, and if he keeps that there and pretends like he's going to Kai trick, they lay down 2 EMPs. He keeps the other one to trick Church Wall, and if they impact trick 2 of the X-Kairos, then there's not enough Selmas and or X-Kairos to be able to get feet holes into Church. Triple Wall stays closed. Their chance of winning rises exponentially.
I'll keep a very close eye on the clock this game. 45 seconds in, and the big question you want to ask yourself is, what are MnM doing right now? And the answer overwhelmingly seems to be drones. Teb has not been forced back from playing on blue. He's still looking to hold aggressively. And you'll know here that it's time to back away very soon, as Yuzu swinging around the outside is going to contest onto the window, but he will not budge. Instead drops to his knees and goes, you know what? Crouch feels pretty safe to me, man. I'll try and contest this angle. With Yuzu's finding almost nothing, he's going to back away. It's as simple as that. That's 60 seconds gone with 2 players putting all of their time and energy into trying to force him away. Only now will Funkers finally get control of blue 90 seconds into the round.
Deja vu. We said last time they love to send drones over to Teb. He seems like a drone collector rather than a deck collector, and he just picks them up and gets to run away for free. Plus he gets time as well. This is what I'm talking about. Do they use both or just one?
This time around they're committing just the one. Okay,
wow,
cool.
that's a smart read of the situation.
Yeah, because Jenna changed it last time. He only used the one, right? The prior time he used both, this time just the one coming out. That means that's opened up, and now with both Hard Breaches still alive, still a Salma on side to use for the Church Wall, I'd expect, they can turn their attentions into finally getting Kitchen open. They have failed this both of the last 2 times. Nathan has died early on in both of those rounds. This is the time to get it right.
Well, they've only got 2 of the impacts to work with here, and obviously they'll want to challenge that. So Boss needs to be very careful how he does this here. And there goes one, but it misses. And that's the big ticket play that MnM needed. They needed that kitchen hatch open. This is what had been a huge detriment for them round after round attacking this bottom floor. And now that they finally have access to this power position that kitchen hatch is, they can see most of Armory, they can see over towards box 1 and 2, dirt entrance, even if you lay down over towards the blue door. This is huge that they'll have all of this. Hatch will get open in stock as well. Hatch was open in Moto. They even still have enough hard bridge to work on some of this church wall, of which I believe they also still have EMPs. Everything's going MnM.
They do have the EMPs, but it's about timing again. We're down to 15 seconds and they're barely making a move. Only now do they finally drop through the hatches, and here we go. Cerbos finding them one. Teb still holding nice and close, and Bonkers is shut down. There is no blue pressure. This is all that Macko need. Dats is still on the upstairs, and Nath is trying to go for a plant. How is he getting away with this with 5 left alive? Guess what? He's not, because Cerbos steps up and brings down the 4th member of MnM. Not a single kill going the way of the blue team. MnM in this instance, and they will lose that half 5-1. That's a pretty big bruising for a team that, while with several of these members used to be on Team Crazy, they used to start attack on this map and being absolutely confident they could take at least 3 rounds. Here they've taken 1, Jess.
I'm bewildered. You know what? I actually think I'm the curse. I'm just going to come out and say it. The moment I say that a team looks to be, or a team rather, MnM most prominently, I say that they look to be an advantage, and they completely prove me wrong. Round after round that I say that they are in an advantageous position, all of a sudden they throw it all out to the wind and it blows away, and then Macko goes, yeah, that's ours. I don't understand rounds and situations and compositions like that where you are in the lead, essentially, and you have so much of an advantage, shouldn't go the way of the other team, and they keep letting it go and go and go. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. We're now in the second half. They're on defense. Things might look so much better here for MnM. I mean, you go back and you look at some of their games on Clubhouse before, and you kind of go, okay, yeah, they've not really given us a good example of how good they are on attack. They've actually only played 2 attacking rounds on Clubhouse during the regular season because, guess what? They 7-0'd and started on defense on both of those matchups. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of information as to how well they're meant to do on attack. Maybe they're just not an attacking side team, but they've won all of their defenses they've played in the regular season, so that could look really strong.
What I want to give a quick mention to is Teb. Although he's only sat on 1 kill here as well, the impact that he had in that first half just on the roam. Remember when he was below on Valkyrie inside a kitchen? In the last round when he was playing around blue? In a number of these rounds, he's doing what a roamer needs to, and that isn't finding kills and walking away with 10 kills at the halfway mark. He's wasting time. And so often for MnM, that's what the issues came down to. They had no time left to actually execute, again, despite no Goyo or anything of the sorts being present. It's a really smart coming out from Macko, dealing very well, even with that Goyo being banned away by their own hand. Let's see how they fare now they have to attack, and I imagine without that on side, they'll be feeling a lot more comfortable. Time is going to be an important piece because they're starting on the top floor for me, though. They need to... Oh, how do you not know? How do you not know?
Wow, yikers. And he even broke the stock door, walked all the way in, aimed down sights at him, and killed him. And all that time, he could have been, given away, usually by sound, you would have thought. But if he's so... Actually, you know what? Oh my god, you know what happened? I just realized the EMP went off right above him. EMPs have sound priority over certain other sounds. He would not have heard Teb walking. There you go.
And got shot. I did wonder why storage was very dark for a few seconds. I was like, it's gone very dark in there. What the hell is happening? Is that a visual bug? But no, it turns out EMP. Well spotted, Jess.
Thank you. I'm going to take that. I'm going to walk away with that. Oh, you know what else could have been walked away with there? A second kill on the attacking half for Teb. He won't get it. And Foggers will barely walk away with his life. He was actually in a really good position to net the headshot there. Big thing for me is that Fonkers, he's got a pretty positive KD, but look at Keenan. He's died once. Once. This man has only gone down once this matchup. 11 kills to his name, and the match is not even done here. Very impressive from him on that first half.
See if he can do some wonders and work a sloth that we saw the other day, for example. What was it, 23 kills he got in a map? Absolutely disgusting. It's going to be a big effort for Keenan to replace that, or to stack up against that, but who knows with how they're playing so far. Could well turn out to be the case if MnM can pull a few rounds back on the defensive side. Either way, Macko somewhat stalled out here. I think they're still trying to decide exactly what the execution point plan is going to be. They have control of the top floor. They haven't dealt with Fonkers on main stairs, so couldn't easily look to push down there. I think he has now peeled back a little bit so they can make use of that if they want to. But otherwise, it looks like it's going to be a drop in through the hatches that we're so used to seeing. You still got, mind you, the smoke player holding inside a Moto. So this could be a Hail Mary inside a kitchen here, and that could be quite risky, given the control that MnM have elsewhere on the map.
Moto hatch is not open, 15 seconds coming up, and this means it's a kitchen plant, but they don't really have the angles that they need. But Teb says, I'll take them by force, but rather Fonkus says, I want it back in my hands. Do they have the time? Nah, I don't think so, Daz. I think this is all over Red Rover. Last smoke pops out, Pokeballs in hand, and Keenan's trying his luck.
He's trying his luck indeed. The planter is going down as they've dropped in through kitchen, but a double kill for Sir Boss comes out. Do they know where the planter is? They see him, but at the last second he manages to connect it. It's Fonkus going big in this round with 3 kills. He's in a 1 versus 1 against none other than Sir Boss. He himself has got 7 kills in this match. Fonkus trying to stick on the diffuse here. He is behind the metal grating. Can you see the foot? Can you see the foot? I'm sure you can see the foot. Spraying, yes he does. And Macko take round number 7, but my God, was it close once again. Macko go to match point.
Sorry, say that again for me? I feel like, whoa, Macko going to match point?
So Jess, I've got an idea for you. Slap yourself in the face for no reason other than I'm going to find it really, really funny. Macko are at match point against MnM on Clubhouse.
What's the scoreline?
6-1, Jess. It's 6-1, Jess.
I just needed someone to say it out loud because that seems a tad unbelievable to me. Alrighty then. Not sure how I feel about that, other than elated for my Italian boys, elated for my ex-player of Sabos, who I've always said has just been such an amazing support player and highly undervalued. So I'm so excited that he gets to show off some of his skills here today. Looks like we will have a rehost, however. And it will come back to our shocked faces. And I'm sitting here going...
Is that really your best shocked face?
Well, I mean, I'm feeling it very much on the inside. I'm trying to stay calm, got to keep the calm voice for the cast.
Fair enough. You look lovely today, by the way, Jess, I should say.
Thank
I love
you.
the shirt once again.
Got the SI shirt
It looks
on.
like you're going on a safari. Exactly. I always look at it and I think, oh, I remember it. Mine isn't that one today. Mine's got birds on today.
Oh, well, we've
My mum bought me
got
this shirt
animal theme.
years ago. We have. I've also got my lion shirt somewhere. In fact, it's actually right here next to me. I don't think you guys can see it, but I have a lion shirt. You can't see it. That's a shame. I should have wore that one. We could have matched today, but alas, we aren't going to. Either way, that was a momentary distraction for us to reset ourselves. 6-1 Macko. Not a scoreline I expected to be speaking about at all today, but we're going to be doing it right now. What is going on? Like, even in that round, Fonkus found himself 3 kills. It looked like MnM had the numbers, had the time, had the denial, because we were like, oh no, they haven't got blue control, they haven't got main stairs, they've only got kitchen, there's no way this works out. They stick the plant and then go on to win the post 1v1. It's unbelievable.
I have a feeling that the huge thorn in the side of MnM, this game has been Keenan. Time and time again, he's either clutched up. I'm thinking of the gym clutch on the Valkyrie. He's been able to get the plant down on that last attack where the plant should not have gone down. What was it, 0.25 by the time the first bullet started coming out of Fonka's gun? Had if that been 0.6, he would have absolutely denied that plant. I mean, it's these milliseconds that we're talking about here, and Macko are getting every single little bit of advantage from all of those milliseconds, and MnM is getting negative. There's almost no advantage that they're getting from any type of advantage that they're having over the round. So I'm a little worried. A reverse sweep of 5 rounds in a row seems a little much of a tall order, but who knows? Maybe they're just warming up. I'm trying to give them something here.
The best way I can look at it is that they didn't come into this game ready. Now, truthfully, this is behind the scenes knowledge. We all know they didn't come into this game fully ready. They were like, oh, we are not ready. We're not ready to jump in yet. Players were a little bit late loading in. It's why we were slightly delayed in our start. I wonder if they had the full chance to warm up or not. I'm assuming a team of MnM's caliber will most definitely know they have a game today in Challenger League for a spot in the EUL kicking off at 4 p.m. local time. They should know that. If they don't, and this is their warm-up map, that is a big problem.
I mean, they were late. Whatever they were doing, give them benefit of the doubt. I've seen players who decide to take
sugar
toilet breaks.
That's what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, trying to do some TDM warm-up or whatever it is that they need to do.
I was playing it yesterday with a couple of boys. Amerta, actually, one of the coaches for Secret, of course. He and his friends take it far too seriously. They've got call-outs designed for it. They're being super hardcore about it. Like, oh, he's in our tower, he's in our tower. He's in sweet shop. I'm like, whoa, calm down, guys. It's in TDM mode. It's not that big a deal. People love it. I'm all for it. It's a great way to get into the game. Maybe clearly that's something MnM should have been doing before we got into the game, because at the minute, we're only seeing one player hitting shots, and that's Fonkers.
Yeah, and you really need a lot of your team to be stepping up, especially when you're in playoffs. You can't be, hoping that one player kicks off for your team. Everyone needs to be standing up. I think we said that about Kavana the other day when they went up against Windstrike. The reason that they dismantled Windstrike so effectively was because every single player was playing at, the peak of what they could play at that time, at least in my analysis. So for me, MnM not playing at their peak. The only person really standing up that we can see for the most part is Fonkers. Nafe has just been absolutely dismantled from the get-go. A couple of these players must be really feeling the pinch here. Will the rehost give them the time that they need? Is it a tactical or is it a technical? We won't really go there. But 5 rounds in a row, I'm not seeing it here, Des.
A lot to sort out on the side of MnM. That much is certain. That downstairs site was the best chance in my mind they could have ever had at winning a round, with a numbers advantage, a Hail Mary plant coming out of Macko. They were in a glorified 1v for a while whilst that plant was going down, and they still managed to bring it back for the win. We now head upstairs. CCTV and Cash going to be where we head to. And looking at what MnM did back in the first half, their focus is very much this one-directional push coming out from construction side. I want to know where Macko's attention goes here. Do they go for the stock standard, let's get Cash CCTV open, take control of garage and go for a plant in B default? Or do they instead look towards construction as we saw MnM do? Lots of variety here to come through. We'll see what flavor comes out very soon.
Just looking at a couple of these drones, I can make the assessment that surely they're... spawn pick those drone Fonkers. Get them. I mean, the less intel, the better for Macko and rather for MnM, and worse for Macko. I'm thinking by the placement of that drone that they'll try and get the platform wall first. In fact, that's something that I tell teams should probably absolutely do first, because if you're going to go for a B plant or you're going to go for an A plant, whichever one you most idealize is the wall you should try and get open first in case you can't get the second wall open. So always put everything you can into the first wall, wherever that is that you're going to plant, so that you have a better chance to cut rotates later into the execute.
No denial intent coming out of the side of MnM either. No Bandit, no Kai coming through. Quite understandable when there is indeed a Thatcher on side. It's something Kavana love to do as a team, is they'll ban away the Thatcher and bring along the Kai an awful lot if teams don't bother. But here, as both are available, things should get opened up pretty quick when you have this combination of the Thatcher plus the Ace, and sure enough, you're going to see CCTV wall opened up quite comfortably. Worth noting, of course, as I was corrected on last broadcast, that these now only tick over twice, the Selmas. They don't go all the way. So there won't be full-on holes to run into the room with, but enough that you have wonderful angles of sight all the way through if someone chooses to play here. Right now, for the side of Macko, they've opened it up and said, you know what? It's phantom pressure. We aren't actually there, but the fact the holes are will make sure that MnM are cautious. They don't want to run in front of those and get themselves shot out by someone playing out on East Balcony.
And now it looks like they want to open up the other wall, and they've been able to do so well before the halfway mark. And their focus now will be to make sure that they can get this open some way, somehow. Looking at the defensive side, does Yuzu have some of those impacts to maybe deal with it? I'm not sure. Yonka could also commit a C4 over the top if it's opened up enough. It really kind of isn't, unless you would kind of slip it on through and, oh, good night, Fonkers. The only player of MnM who's really been stepping up has been dispatched with there. And I believe the wall got open, did it? Or did Yuzu impact from below? I believe he impacted from below the hatch. And that's what I was kind of talking about there. And he won't be able to do it again. And if we get an extended view to see how many more hard breaching utility we have 1 Excalibur and 1 Selma. That's way more than enough.
Jesus is still downstairs here. Definitely would be a big risk to push back and go for this a second time. They did drop a good A drone down to keep a close eye on where he was, and sure enough, he has to back away to keep the focus on staying alive. Is he really going for a run out here? Apparently, yes, he is. He's going to try and make happen what he can. Sees one up on the roof, and he will hit those long-range shots. I wish I could shoot like that, but I absolutely cannot. That puts us down to a 4 versus 4 with 30 seconds to go, and I imagine Macko, this shouldn't shake them too much. They know they've got to open what they need to. CCTV has been opened up. They're now looking in towards getting something opened up in towards construction. I did see that 1X Kairos go off. Don't know if they got both. And now also looking to push up red at the same time. They have options, but they've got to find the kills. 3v3 is Elation and Dats find a kill each. 10 seconds. Nothing left for either side here. It's all or nothing in the dying 5 seconds. Can Macko close it out? They find one. Can they find any more? There's still one up in the rafters. It's Yonka. Uses finds a double. It's a 1 versus 2. But unfortunately for Macko, the time just runs out. A few seconds more, and this could have been a very different story. As he was even going for a plant, but shot off at the last second.
Yeah, that time was really the nail in the coffin there for Macko. It did look like, at least for the half mark of that round, they'd gotten open the platform wall. They'd all rotated over to work out getting open the construction wall. They had a Selma, 2 X-Gyros to work with, and 3, before that impact trick occurred. So everything was in their favor. My problem is that they didn't keep track of the time. And once they sort of ran out of those options, they just tried to kind of Hail Mary it on in, which isn't really the answer oftentimes. Nate still had smokes. I believe it was him on the smoke. So a couple of those players on MnM were really equipped to be able to deal with that. Now we just need to see that 4 more times in a row. And then maybe we get to go to overtime and things will look, sweet, nice, more appropriate of a scoreline for MnM here on Clubhouse, because I didn't mean it lightly when I said MnM was the SSG here of like Clubhouse in the version of Challenger League, and they're kind of making me look a little silly, not gonna lie.
Ooh, okay. It's not over yet. It feels like it all but is, given 4 rounds, Macko have got to find a single one. And I always say, when you're in this kind of position where you've got yourself at this kind of 5-1 spot and you can nick one more round, you've got 4 rounds to try any kind of craziness you want. You want to go for a rush or something ridiculous? Hell, just go for it. You want to change the comp up and bring something unconventional? It's the time to try and do so. They've got room to play with here. And I think if a couple more rounds start falling by the wayside, maybe it is time to really change up the record book here and keep MnM guessing as to what's coming next.
Well, drones will come zooming through and confirm the position of Yonker at least. And him roaming down below will actually cause a lot of time delay here, and they've extended really far out. MnM have decided it's not just a cache extension they want, they also want to hold rafters. They want to make sure that they've got CCTV to some way, shape, or form. So it's quite a heavy investment here. Jenna's job will be to hold this line of sight so that no one comes and peeks CC window over towards gym or bedroom window, which is just, usual kind of push that you would expect or hold from a player. He's expended all of his X-Gyros to do this, and now they're going to have to rely on Elation to get open the jacuzzi wall. My problem is that I don't think they realize how aggressively Dats wants to hold Garage, and whilst he's still here, Jenna will struggle a lot to be able to hold this off alone.
All his job is, I think, here is hold the angle. Just make sure no one can be too cheeky. That's, I guess, is the one you have to worry about being cheeky. If he can come out here and cause a bit of chaos, then this could really come back to bite the side of Macko, losing one of those key members out towards the east early on. For now, it's just happily chewing their way through drones as they come rifling in. 5 dead already here inside the opening 75 seconds. We do talk around drones an awful lot, and for some teams, they do like to commit drones just to make it absolutely sure no one's tried to move anywhere crazy, to try and set up a play of some kind. It isn't always going to be the end of the world if you do lose a number of them, but you just want to make sure in those dying moments of the round, you've still got a couple left alive to watch those all-important flanks when it comes round to, I suppose, the later round aggression from the defensive side.
Well, Selma will go down to an impact trick and a really well-placed one. And Jenna says, you know what? I'm sick of staying out on the platform. I'm just going to say goodnight to you, Dats, because what I really want is absolute control of server, which is absolutely fair enough. Oh, no. Oh. They really needed the big play of Fonkers there because numbers were dwindling way too fast. Over 60 seconds left. And well, if you're Macko right now, this is a good position to be in because guess what? No Maestro, no ability to turn the cams, no ability to zap. Where they're facing is where they'll stay, and well, only got Yonker with the C4 left. I'm not sure how many smoke babes we've got left to play with here, and it looks like only one. This is not good, and it's already been popped.
That's such the meme. And it's gone. No longer available. This is 35 seconds of raw bloodshed here. Fonkers finds a double kill after his earlier jump out ball. Pick up Keenan. Top fragger on the side of Macko so far in this game. Jenna's going to find one more, but Fonkers is going bonkers. He has a triple kill. He's going to have to ace it all the way through to keep his team in map number 1. Tries to peek aggressively for the second, but this could be everything. Everyone is a bullet from death. A peek comes around the corner. Back with the diffuser in hand. Macko may now try and look for the plant. There are a couple of pings coming out here. They know what's going on. Maybe one of those Valkyrie cameras or Evil Eye still in position will give them all they need. He finds one. It's a quadra and he swings for the ace. Fonkers will keep MnM alive in round number 9. What a play coming out of him.
We said he was absolutely going huge here for MnM, and guess what? He's the only player keeping them alive here on Clubhouse. Map number 1 of this best of 3. And I tell you what, if anyone wants map number 1, it's Fonkers. Bonkers is, I don't even think, the right word there. There's no word to explain exactly what he just pulled out of the hat there. It was the right idea in the end there by Macko, but a little bit of mistiming in the pinch onto Fonkers meant he was able to flick with pure skill And this is getting very antsy. These rounds have been very close, and that's been the most, I guess, successful looking round on attack from Macko. They don't want to be letting this drop because they needed to have already walked away with this match to feel quite confident going into the next map.
Ooh, okay. Momentary breather. One thing I will give against Macko, maybe slightly in favor of MnM here, is after watching back their game against Gamma on Consulate, a map that generally attackers don't do too bad on. They really struggled to crack Gamma, and admittedly that last round came down entirely to the efforts of a single player. Many would argue that's the round that Macko should have won, but unfortunately, bonkers is bonkers, and he will step up and find kills like that to keep his team very firmly in the match. But for Macko, despite the overpeaking, all the aggressive plays they tried on Consulate against Gamma, they could not find a single attacking round. So I know that there are some weaknesses to their attacking side. We have seen a couple of strengths come through in the last round or two. I just need to see that happen once more. One round where a player on the other side doesn't pop in the same way that Fonkers did to get this match over the finish line. You've worked so hard. You've got yourself up to a 6-1 scoreline. If this goes all the way through to overtime now, this could be one of the greatest throws we have ever seen in Challenger League. Of course, only succeeded by, Penta and Gamma throwing it last season.
Oh no. Don't bring it back up. Surely this is not going to be a window peek from bedroom stairs with an SMG. Not the best weapon to be able to long range it with, but that's okay. And Fonkers this time, he's got the T5 in hand instead of the AUG before. And I think you can do just as much damage with this weapon, if not more. I don't mean damage as in the bullet damage, I just mean there's no recoil on the T5. The things you can get away with, you shouldn't be able to get away with it, actually. So we'll see exactly what they do here. And is that a rotate going in there, or is that just a line of sight? Is that going to be impact tricked by Fonkers?
Impact
That's
trick.
an interest. Yeah, I can only imagine that's what it's going
shield,
to be.
yeah. Makes total
I love
sense.
that. I love that.
I guess the only thing you have to worry of is that you can't impact trick across the far right-hand side here. So there's still every opportunity for... I guess actually this one is a mute jammer there, so it makes sense. I was going to say the one thing to be mindful of if that gets cleared out is Jenna just opening up the bottom left corner of Church Wall here, of course facing from the reinforced side, the outwards facing side, if you can get that open. And potentially there's a couple of Zofia impacts coming raining through that could destroy that shield, although as we all know, Zofias are just drawn to blue like flies are to a light. There's just no stopping a Zofia player from playing in this spot, and that's exactly where Teb is going to head.
Well, we need to see him have the same success that Fonkers did on his burst down blue on their attack on the last side of downstairs for Macko. My problem here is that there's just over 60 seconds left. I don't really feel like Macko's had the kind of success in getting things opened up that we will have seen them done in previous rounds. So their time management here has been quite poor. The big hitter for Macko goes down and he'll fall to a C4. He did get some of those vertical holes open. So he's kind of done his job, but with a man down, things don't particularly look good. I don't think he's expended his grenades either. And now for Macko, 40 seconds left. This time delay that's consistently, sort of just demeaning them and their ability to be able to get into sight seems like it will be yet another recurring theme here.
But they still need to clear Dats out of Generator here as well. He has a couple of ADSs still sat down, and I imagine that's why you've seen stock opened up. Expect Jenna to be chucking down a bunch of grenades here to help clear this one out. And in fact, there's still more than coming in from the other side too, just trying to keep Teb at bay, and he's looking to go aggressive here, but almost walks straight into the firing line. Jenna drops in hot, runs round and finds Dats. Man's on fire. 4v3 for the side of MnM. Make that a little bit closer. Actually, his 2 kills come sailing in for Nathan Fonkers, and 5 seconds left. Elation has nothing to do here. The diffuser is a clear mile away. Try and trade the kill back, but no, Yonka comfortably picking up another kill. And maybe this is the time where, as an MnM fan, you start getting excited. 6-1, all the way back up to 6-4 with a Fonkers ace in the middle. There's plenty to be excited about, but still 2 more rounds to be nervous about too.
If I'm Macko, I'm hitting nervous point now. Because MnM have found their stride. There's not a lot looking good here for Macko. It almost seems like they're getting worse with their time management. Things are not looking good. Whether or not there's too much stress, too much pressure, not good enough comms, whatever it is, it feels like they're slowing down. And this is the exact moment you need to speed things up. You're on a 6-1. You're at the point where you're 1 round away from winning this map and propelling yourself so much closer to the semifinals. So if I'm Macko right now, I say, boys, chill out. We know exactly what we need to do. The site's going to be CCTV this round. We know exactly how to take it. Last time we had it open, both sides almost open within 1 minute 30. Let's do it again, but this time get our drones out, know exactly where our opponents are, and pinch together. Otherwise, Macko will just keep losing these rounds to time alone.
Surely you're screaming, oh man, there's no way Funkus goes bonkers twice. There's no way Lightning strikes the same location twice. It doesn't strike Clubhouse in the same match. It may well do. But I think here for MnM, with how comfortable they looked in that last round, there's no doubt far less worry on their side. The players less stressed. Things are looking more recoverable for them now. It's far from match done and dusted here, given it is still 6-4 to Macko. I'm sniffing in overtime. We'll see if that really comes to light in the next couple of rounds. Starting things off then, we are back upstairs once more. Catching CCTV. Nothing really worth phoning home about in terms of the setup for MnM once more. That double information coming out with the Valkyrie and the Maestro in tandem. Also seeing that Banshee to help with the more aggressive, fast pushes that might come out of the side of Macko. Users here is looking to cause some trouble. That is so cheeky, but they know! I appreciate the attempt there, users as well, even making use of the impacts. But it feels like the side of Macko just a little too wise to tricks like this.
Imagine getting flicked to like that when you've got the angle group, you've got the better position, you know exactly where he is, and you just lose out on it. That just blows my mind, because now you're down impacts which really could have helped out with that wall. I heard one of those impacts go off, but only hit one of the Selmas on one side of the wall, so the other side got opened up. I mean, this does not look good for all of the impact players here for MnM, of which Funkus still has one in hand, which he'll absolutely need to keep for the construction wall. But if we get an extended view on the utility here for the attackers, we see we've still got one Selma and 3 whole sets of X-Kairos. Again, this is advantageous to Macko. Things are not looking hot for MnM.
All inside the opening 60 seconds as well. Let's not consider that Maestro is basically locked here inside a garage, given they don't know once more who that phantom presence is outside a CCTV wall now that it's been opened up. You can't just run across. You have to be very, very mindful if you're going to do so. It could be a big risk for them. So Macko here have got all the time, all the utility. They have got all the right tools to win this round. But as the last couple have suggested, it's not quite that simple. They're trying to get Nath out of playing inside a site. They've got rid of the shield, which makes his life even more uncomfortable. Funkus is now looking to contest onto the cache doorway from playing down inside a garage. So the right angle's being held. Nathan even gets out of dodge. MnM are playing this as smart as they can, given the numbers disadvantage they're currently at. Funkus is going to find one. Not sure where that was, but he gets brought down by Teb, actually, and here we go. This could be the push coming through. They find a couple of kills, come singing out. You got Yonka playing one, gets the second. Does he know the diffuser is off to his right-hand side? No, he doesn't, and Surbos is going to find a double. It's a 2 versus 1. Dats on the downstairs has got to make magic happen. They've got a bit of information upstairs, because I imagine there are still some evil eyes on side, but with him playing on the downstairs, a spray through the floor could be all that they need. They keep on moving away, being super mindful, and Dats is going to have to come pushing up the red stairs. Tries to contest onto the one in the back of window. No, he's not going to. Keenan, after all the frags he's got all map long, is going to land the most crucial one of the day, bringing down the enemy side and giving Macko map number 1.
Just sitting here saying that Macko takes it 7-4 after getting to a 6-1 in the first half. I mean, that is not something we think we'd be saying, let alone Macko walking away with Clubhouse against MnM out of all teams. Big hitters that we need to give a shout out to on both sides. Number 1, Keenan had an absolute smashing match on both halves, but Funkus, he went absolutely bonkers, like you said. Both of those players really stepping up, but for MnM, unfortunately, their teammates just weren't able to surpass the expectations needed. And for Macko, a lot of the players were putting in the parts of the puzzle that were needed to bring this to a map win.
Very rarely was it just one round in which those key players had impact. It was felt across every single round. But unfortunately for MnM, Macko take the map. Not something I expected to be saying when I saw that we were going to Clubhouse, and no doubt something the analysts are also a little bit gobsmacked about. Let's go over to them and get their thoughts on how this first match went.
Hello.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, there we go.
Guess
we are back.
Us.
For some reason, I couldn't hear anything. Fluke, I can't hear you in the meantime.
There we go.
There you go. All right. Well, you know what? We are back. The crazy bit about it is that we're expecting MnM to be walking all over their opponents in their matchup. However, Macko seemed to have a pretty good advantage. What was it? It was like 5-1 at the half. Huge plays today for the Italians happen map 1.
Definitely a huge play. They managed to come in clutch. Keenan especially we joked about him being the imposter amongst them. The Italian underneath the Irishman underneath the Italians.
Yeah,
having a similar flag, but he definitely showed up huge today. Just completely shut them down wherever he went.
That's it, and I think that's the main thing to take away from here is, okay, maybe some days you do take MnM to club, and it's the days where MnM, they didn't start playing as them. Their game in the first, 7 rounds before the rehost is weak. There's no two ways about it. MnM weren't playing like MnM. They weren't able to show up and set themselves up and bring themselves into a firefight that all of us expected. So they have, I guess, they had a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a moment. They took some great rounds. Bonkers with an ace, top of the board for the first time in a long time. Let's see them heat up for map 2.
Yeah, let's definitely see that. Of course, Clubhouse was not the expectation. At least that result in Clubhouse is definitely not the expectation. I can tell you that much. But if we take a bit of a closer look and a deeper dive into the whole series, what is the biggest change necessary for us to be heading into map number 2 where MnM can actually push it through? Because you of all people were definitely throwing out hot takes and saying, you know what, this is 2-0 MnM. Easy.
Sometimes you just gotta, give them the underdog position so they can perform. But they did well. But MnM, as Luke said, they were kind of sleepy during that first half. They managed to get alive after the second round of their defensive half. The question is, can they keep that up, and can they also translate this to their attacks? Because their attacks, they were pretty lackluster, I have to say.
And you know what?
It is something they've often been praised for.
Attacks are going to be usually the most difficult part of a theme park, which is our map 2 assembly for people that haven't seen our big band phase before. So very quickly, what is the solution? Because it looks like this might be an MnM starting on defense. They're going to have to give it their all, Fluke.
And I think that's it, is because MnM looked good in those last few rounds. Obviously, Macko were able to lock off the map. They have one advantage. But that first, 5-round, 6-round Macko, they shut down MnM so well. I think they went above and beyond expectations. Now they're playing onto their map. Maybe they expected Clubhouse. They obviously look like they'd prepped well for it. So I guess I want to see what they've stepped up to, because they can assume and expect that if this is their pick, they're going to start on the attack. Can they bring some creativity? We only got a very little window because they did so well on their defense as to what their attack's going to be. We got a very little window of MnM playing like MnM. This could be a really spicy match.
It could swing the other way very quickly, especially as Flick was saying, Hap, that, this thing is starting out very well on the defense for Macko, and that's not where they're probably going to be starting here on theme because they picked the map.
Yeah, MnM is going to be having the opportunity to go to defense here, and it's going to be up to Macko to make sure that 1 or 2 of those rounds will be won by them instead on their attack. If they manage to get a 4-2 split out here in favor of MnM, that is definitely going to be a good exit point for Macko to go into the second half and get their own defenses on point, because we've seen how MnM can struggle on a map like this, especially against proper defenses.
How to deal with Fonkers, though? That's more my question. But you know what? We see him moving around the map, and this is theme park, right? It can be a very wide map to control sometimes. You might see him, be put on a Vigil, on a Jaeger, on a Valkyrie even on this. What are some of the ways that you can bring operator-wise or synergy-wise to deal with this sort of thing on theme?
I mean, if Fonkers is bonkers, that's it. It's hard to have, because he's been an entity that throughout all of the run, the season, all of the run through this, he hasn't stepped up as much as we expect, but now, I guess, when you've got Nath doing the bits that he's done, Fonkers has started to light up. I really want to see him do more insane things.
All right, Fluke Cap, thank you so much. We're going to come back in just a moment here. Just going to run some quick ads to pay the bills, and we'll see you in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, almost ready with our lobby. A couple players remain before we toss it in. So very, very quickly, Fluke, what do we need to see from MnM to bring this back from your point of view?
We need to see. We just need to see MnM. We need to see the MnM on the off day not show up again. It started badly. They picked it up after the rehost. Keep picking it up.
App. It's not a 2-0 anymore, is it?
No, it's not going to be 2-0. And I think, like, okay, so this has been mentioned before by many others. MnM, they can be either really good and sometimes they just struggle. And if this is one of those games, one of those days where they will be struggling, and Macko are absolutely playing out of their minds, and I don't know what this team pack will bring, because if Macko is going to be able to get some attack rounds in here, because we're expecting a 5-1, 6-0 maybe from MnM to come through, then, well, it might be a very tough second half for MnM.
Okay, our game is ready. I'm wondering how this will be in comparison to Winstrike's game against Kovana. Who knows? Maybe we'll have MnM bring it back to a map 3, the only way for them to survive, or Macko, our Italian squad, might just steal it right under MnM's nose. That is, though, up to our casters to take us through. So please, just shoot, all yours.
Hey guys, it's me, everyone's favourite autopilot who didn't throw to break but instead threw to the casters, and I'm now probably the most scorned person on this whole production team. It's nice knowing you all. I'm sure I'll wind up dead somewhere later on, as MnM could well do after this map, unless this goes their way. You're right there, Jess. Theme Park going to be the next map that we head into. I had some doubts about coming into this map, but you're right now, you recovered.
But it is just so dramatic.
It's gotta be, man. It's the way I do things. I mean, this is dramatic. MnM are about to get knocked out by Macko. It's a prediction that no one had on paper, but it's about to happen. What a world.
I will give you that. It does feel like a really dramatic moment, because when you lose Clubhouse's MnM, you've got to be thinking in the back of your head, 1, it's our map. 2, it was our map pick. And 3, we're going on to Theme Park, which, I mean, I just look over towards some of my stats here and I go, okay, MnM, I press Theme Park, I have a look at the sampled matches, and oops, they 7-5'd with Auglis, which is a pretty damn bad result, considering Auglis did pretty horrifically. And
I thought you were about to say it's a pretty damn bad team, and I was be like, whoa, okay, Jess, I thought we normally steer away from that sort of language, but all right.
No, I mean, it was a bad result for MnM. In the state that they were, in the state that Auglis was at the time that they endured this matchup together, Auglis should not have got as many rounds as they did, and there were a lot of mistakes. You and I remember it. There were a lot of mistakes in that matchup that MnM made. They can't be making it here today. And guess what? They're putting Macko on the back foot here. There's a Thatcher ban. There's also a Maverick ban. This is huge. This is a huge detriment to the attackers who already are on the back foot starting on attack. And you know what? Take the floor, take the stage, do your little ramble about how starting on attack means you're absolutely going to lose the map. Go ahead, Des.
Wow, that's a way to just put me on the spot, isn't it? You are correct. It is something I very commonly say, is that this map, you know, maybe it's from talking to a lot of players who all seem to feel the same. The reason why Theme Park isn't as popular as some of the maps are in the pool is that it is absolutely horrific to start on attack. You are very boxed in when you enter the map, generally on top floor where most teams will start off. You come into Cafe where you can be fired on as soon as you walk out the double door from multiple angles. It's the same story on the other side inside of Cash. It just doesn't make for an easy map to actually get inside of and then start your attack from there. And most sites have single doorways to get into. That makes things so difficult to be unpredictable or surprise the defenders. That is why many teams won't even bother heading towards this map. They'll just completely ban it out and move away from it. But Macko here have clearly got something planned. I'm really excited to see how they prepped out for this one. Nothing huge to shout out about immediately. We're seeing that mirror come out that you and I have seen quite a few times on this site, Jess, with those mirror windows facing in towards Cafe to the north. Teams then looking to pen people inside a Cafe, like I mentioned not too long ago.
The reason I did a pretty big sigh there was the 6-pick off of the Kali, and I think the problem was is that they've taken nades assuming that the first site would be Armory, and that's okay to have that soft breach and go from above, open up yellow, or toss a grenade over the top of maintenance or barrels, but they needed the Kali if there's not going to be an extended hold from MnM. If MnM don't open up an extended hold over towards initiation and they just close it all off and they throw a Kaid on it or whatever they throw on there, the lack of Kali means that wall stays closed. I don't care how you put it, but there's no other way. You can't go below, there's no vertical, it's solid concrete. So the only rotates they'll have is either through Cafe, up arcade stairs, maybe through, I don't know, the office wall, which is half reinforced with a mirror on it. And yeah, there we go. It looks like these walls will just stay closed, and this is really bad for Macko, 6 picking off the Kali.
We'll see how they aim to deal with it because, well, we mentioned earlier on about the Thatcher ban and then Kai not being banned. Teams like Kavana and clearly MnM are teams that will lean in towards playing that Kai wherever possible because of the denial it brings, because of how hard you make their job, as you just alluded to, with those solid floors underfoot. Let's see how effectively they can do it, because again, with Macko, you don't choose to start an attack on Theme Park without some kind of plan in mind. I'm hoping here they've been smart about this. They have different answers to what we have seen from teams historically to deal with the setup coming out of the side of MnM.
Well, Keenan's lost half of his life already, and it's only been the first 50 seconds of the round. And usually he'll be the one to hold off on yellow stairs, which it looked like Jenna was being hot droned into quite quickly. I can hear a C4 rip, and I don't know where that is. Is that just to scare someone, or it's somewhere across the map? Might have been Nafe sort of giving it a little test rip there to make sure it's still working. And that smoke will rain out to cover off any lines of sight in between. Is this because they want to repel into break? I've not seen this strategy in a very, very long time. In fact, it's one of the most unsafest strategies of pushing this site. So if they make it work, which they do, then I don't know how to analyze this.
Question mark, question mark. I said they're going to do something different, and they're doing something very, very different here. Or something we haven't seen in a while. But Yonka, oh, we should have won that one for free. But no, Teb gets him first. And that should be most of Arcade, at least under pressure, if not pushed back. And at the same time, that enables Keenan to say, Arcade's clear. I can step into Cafe and look to contest with you. Nate's going to find a second kill onto Teb, mind you. And that should put a bit of a dent in the setup coming out of the side of Macko. They had the right idea, but sadly cannot connect the kills. Jenna going to find one on yellow. 3 versus 2, and let's not forget, still 60 seconds to play. So this was a nice early execute from Macko and should give them enough time to be able to course correct a little bit here, but I'd be very, very wary of the fact that you are against 3 players on the side of MnM.
I don't think Jenna knows that there was a couple of crossfires onto him, and he does go down, and well, that was a very convincing retake there from MnM. It all came off the back of the mirror, let's be frank, because Teb had a great entry that he should not have had. And when I said I couldn't analyze this, well, I actually can't go back to a competitive matchup in my mind in APAC North or EUL where 2 players have decided to enter onto a bunks defense through those windows. Generally, they've just gone elsewhere. They've decided to go, okay, we'll push Cafe instead, maybe with a yellow pinch or an arcade pinch. But that was a full commit to repelling into a window that you, quite frankly, should die from, especially when you've got to rotate over to the top arcade balcony. A bit of an interesting one. It probably came out of the fact that they didn't have the Kali and it wasn't the site that they thought it was going to be. So things got a little bit more difficult for them. I love the innovation, but yeah, they did deserve to lose that one when you apply a strategy that should 9 times out of 10 not work.
Well, I again appreciate the attempt at doing something a little bit different, and they did catch Jonker out at first, mind you, as he pushed in from the arcade catwalk, and I thought, man, surely here they've got control. There's nothing else that can be done, only for Nate to swing around on the mirror and collect the kills to completely put that attack to bed. A nice attempt, but still a round that goes the way of MnM. So things starting out as you'd expect, at least as far as the scoreline is expected. We now move over ever so slightly to the right-hand side. We lift up those bomb sites, we carry them across a couple of floors. Gonna need quite a few people to carry them. They look quite heavy, mind you, looking at them. But now we set ourselves inside of Office and Initiation. This one's a little more direct. You tend to see a cash take come in or a control take down to the south. And it's quite simply a job then of getting your way in through control wall and going for a plant behind the shrine. Now, the number of times the teams have denied that by having a couple of players playing inside of Initiation has been, well, almost impossible to break apart. But this is slightly different coming out of MnM. They're sticking a mirror on there. They're leaving one side of it soft and no doubt using that to chuck smoke canisters over C4s. This could be a good adaptation from their side to deal with the aggression coming out of Macko.
Instead of using Kai, they're just going to sit with the mute jammer. They didn't have any of that Kali to deal with last round, and there's no Kali to deal with it this round either. And whether or not that was another misread here from the side of Macko, maybe they think, okay, surely they go to Armory now. This is the lineup for Armory. Let's do it. They have not, and that's okay because Teb gets the opening kill yet again. And I believe he was the opening kill last time onto, was it Yuzu Dats? I'm not sure who it was over towards balcony, but he was able to get that entry that was really needed for Macko. They just need to convert on that number count now and be really confident moving on in. Taking out one C4, it's probably not that bad, particularly on this side as well, because it actually doesn't, work that great. There's not a lot of places you can actually C4 confidently from, especially from below. So for me, I'm hoping that they get one more pick, and then they're able to dispatch these mirrors, which will play huge power positions if they don't pinch from Cafe.
Really interesting how strong their hold is inside of Office here, where you have Yonka playing, or Jonka, sorry, playing in behind the mirror window. You have one playing inside of Vault, and Yuzus even fell back through that location. So very happy here with the setup they've got, this kind of crossfire. If I remember correctly, it was Gamma who did a very similar sort of thing, whereas a team tried to push their way up yellow, they turned around and found the frag, and then as they came pushing in through the doorway to the east, they were just absolutely gunned down in the crossfire, almost nothing to be done. Office is so hard to break that I think it makes far more sense to be looking here towards control. That's what they're thinking about, and even with that Salma on the other side, unfortunately they're staring face first here into a C4. That is all too easy for Dats to connect. They're going to blast off that Salma. In fact, no, he misses it. He's trying, grenade comes through. Down he goes, not dead, but at least down on the floor, unable to be contesting anymore. Sir Boss and Co. likely not aware of this fact. That drone should at least confirm it for them, and now they must start thinking, hey, this is our chance to go in for the push. And sure enough, here he goes, trying to convert the kill if he can. There we go, Will collected out. I thought for a second you might see someone on the side of MnM swinging out, but Sir Boss brings down Yuzus as well, who had such a start to the round, trying to be quite pressurized out towards Dragon. He's going to find himself down as well. A 4 versus 2 for Macko, and the best chance they've got at winning a round should be now.
I don't think Jenna knows that Yonka's right here, and no, he doesn't. The Vector shreds right through him, and Bonkers shreds through Teb, and now the only hope is Sabos and Keenan. Keenan had a great first map, but Sabos is trying to get into sight, and he can't really. He'll have to run through the door, and Focus is on 20 HP. Can he go bonkers again? He'll need to, otherwise this will be a Macko round.
There isn't really anything here that can help him alongside things like C4s, impacts, whatever else it might be. He has just got to go for the gun skill here. 2 kills to connect, now in a post plank, going to try and wait for one to swing out onto him, or at least push aggressively in a few seconds' time, I'm sure. But the side of Macko, they haven't got to move here. They can be patient, they can wait. When they're ready, there comes the peak. One comes out. Can he find the next one as well? No, he cannot. Keenan carrying on as big as he did in the last match, coming up against his adversary in Fonkers of all people. We'll make sure Macko get round number 2, and that puts us at 1 apiece.
Shaky. Huh. Was that a comment to the opposition?
To himself, I think. Missing the shots. Jess, not everyone is trying to be as BM as you are.
Oh, please. Please.
Some people are just commenting on their self and not looking to always outwardly criticize others, that's all.
Well, I didn't think his aim was that shaky, although I did miss it a little bit there at the end as I was watching one of the players to see if they would swing or not, but that's okay. I'm not sure what Dats is trying to say there, but that, a little just bit of typing in chat.
That says to me tea break here in the British Isles. We say tea when we want to take a tea break. Now, you ever watch a game of football and someone just screams tea and everyone downs arms, the football's put to rest, everyone goes and sits down for a cup of tea and some biscuits?
I would believe if you did that.
If we're feeling very luxurious.
Yeah, see, I would believe if you guys actually did that as well, which is the saddest part of that. They can actually retry it, funnily enough, is that they've felt that Armory is not a site that really works for them. I want to see whether or not that's something that they did against Auglis as well. Maybe they struggled on their defensive Armory. Maybe statistically that's not a site they really particularly like to go towards. I'm having a look here, and they like to win it, of course, but when they sort of defend it, they almost never go there. In fact, yeah, they literally have never gone to Armory. If they have to go to a third bomb site, it's Lab. So they refuse to touch Armory. And that's something that Macko should know. So, interesting.
Teams love changing things up. In this case, for MnM, it's the site they're playing on is the whole focus. Usually starting out this round exactly as he did the last, by the way. Hanging up towards Cash, out towards Stop a Dragon. You see the rappel and you get excited and think, oh, they're not going to drone me, and then a drone comes popping over and it's like, okay, I guess not. I best pull back, I best keep myself alive and save my life to fight for another day.
Well, 30 seconds have already surpassed, and Jenna is in. But Fonkers is already in Keenan's head there, bullets as well. And that was, I believe, an attempted entry by Keenan below, and he just got absolutely clapped for it. Jenna wasn't close enough to get the refrag, which is a bit of a shame, actually, because when you are entering, especially as a duo on a hot drone, you would expect that your duo is close enough to be able to take an engagement straight after. But Jenna was kind of looking another way. I actually think, unfortunately, Jenna hasn't had a real good match so far. It's only been a couple of rounds, but he hasn't really had the impact that an entry fragger does need to have. He's kind of played a bit too passive for his role in some cases. So if we can see him speed things up and be a bit more aggressive with the use of some of that intel, we might see a bit more impact here for Macko.
It's funny when you think about Macko, the big players you need to pay attention to. It's always Teb and Keenan that are the ones in our mouths, I think, after what we've seen from them all season long. Boss, equally with a couple of moments in Elation being in that more supportive role, you don't always expect to be the one popping off, but I get your point on Jenna. It reminds me of Astro from Gamma, actually, who we'll be seeing play in the next series, where his role is much more supportive, much more team-orientated. It's not a sloth-esque Ash player where it's charging off around the map finding frags. It's playing behind drones, it's playing for the team, and maybe that is what Jenna's attention is going to be here. It's using Ash in this more supportive role, something we've seen players like Citizen doing a lot this season for G2 of EUL. Who knows? That's maybe where he looks a little bit quieter.
This is a really bad spot from Elation. What he's trying to do is bait out this C4 that caught him last time he pushed up on this wall. And if he can do that, which he has, he'll get a freebie, and there we go. And that's to make sure that one of those C4s can't rain out, and he gets the mirror for free. But guess what? They've already thought of this. They've got a contingency plan here. They've got a go-go shield. They've got the opportunity to have 2 ADSs covering it. And yikes, this is falling apart here for Macko. This is not the entries they need. No drones coming out from Teb means his kill is absolutely inevitable. And well, is this the dominating MnM we were expecting in map 1 finally coming alive in map 2?
Maybe. I'm just slightly bewildered as to how the site was armory and thrown, yet everything was going on as if it was an initiation defense or a bunk daycare defense.
Really? I didn't even see.
You called it, remember? MnM never played that site, you said at the start. And then all the fighting seemed to be going on the top floor. It's where the scrap around, we had the smoke playing upstairs, we had the mirror playing upstairs. The assault coming in from the attackers upstairs. It seemed like a pseudo-initiation hold. There was a couple going on downstairs, but there was so much attention going on to the top floor that I was like, what is this? There's 2 or 3 kills being traded across the top floor very quickly. It was wild.
Very confusing.
I mean, admittedly, that's the way sometimes it plays out. I remember we first saw this map in APAC, for example. I think it was Xavier versus Fab back in the first week of Stage 1. There were kind of 2 hit squads on the map. There was a 2v2 going on where the sole focus was the objective. The other 6 players were all just hell-bent on fighting away from the site around shields, around wild reinforcements going into random places. It was wonderful to watch, and maybe that last round was quite reminiscent of that. Either way, that's our first rotation of sites done. We now go back up to Bunk and Daycare from the downstairs. MnM have those 2 rounds on the board that I think you would come to expect. Maybe you're looking towards a 5-1 half here, thinking that it is theme park and generally, again, quite a defender-leaning map. But with Macko having 1 round already after just 3 rounds, if they can get 2 on the board, I'm feeling mildly optimistic about them going on to win the second half of this map. Well,
having 1 attacking round for Macko is not too shabby. It means that the first half can't go to that impending 6, really, and then you're worried, okay, they only need 1 match point as we saw last map. And I think here for Macko now is that they've been trying to focus on getting rid of some of these mirrors, and they've not been really dealing with them as appropriately as they probably should. Some of these entries as well from Macko have seemed a little bit, for lack of a better phrase, willy-nilly. This kind of seems like Jen is entering very fast on his own drone. He'll go in, but it'll have no impact. He kind of just seems like he sits somewhere on the map and hopes that they come to him. And you can't have that frame of mind. You have to push together. You have to play the time game here, because no defensive player, or rather defensive side, is just going to come running to you and gift the kills.
So much denial coming out on the side of MnM that I wonder if this is what Macko were afraid of back in the last map when they banned that Goyo away. Because you're coming up against standard shields being used by the defensive side. You've then got the Vulcan shields coming out. You have mirror windows to deal with. You have the Banshees to go through. This is something, again, that I saw them struggle with quite a lot on Consulate against Gamma Gaming, and I'm wondering here if that's what they're getting slightly hung up on, is the amount of utility and denial coming out of the side of MnM.
Exactly right. We've seen them use a couple of grenades to throw them on through, and Teb not able to connect these shots here. In fact, shots are connected back. Funkers does lose a little bit of HP, however, but he's done a little bit of damage, and now they know he's here, and it's going to stall Macko out quite considerably. I believe that opened up a vertical below, and Jenna now has had a lot more impact than he's had in the previous rounds by just displacing one of those mirrors vertically. So that's a really good hit there. Yet again, they're repelling here on the southern side. This is super unconventional. I've never really seen this sort of version of it. And is that someone in? Break already? Why? How does Elation get in over and over? If they know he's on the soft wall, he's dead.
I think for the most part, because you can't see this back window, and with the electrified wall to his right-hand side, there's just no easy way to tag him unless you're holding the right angle inside a bunk itself. I think here, because him and Yonka are just staring each other down, it's like, well, who moves first? Who's going to die in the first case? And someone has to move. That drone coming out might give reason to trigger a swing coming out here. And there we go. The shots are coming out. Yes, absolutely. You must hear that drone and think, okay, someone's most definitely inside. It's time to go for the kill. And Yonka is going to bring down Elation. That now means there's still one player hanging out for waiting the opportunity to repel it. It's going to be Teb. Will he be able to get the spray down here? No, he won't, as Nath brings him down. This is an MnM whitewash. They were ready for it last round, it appears. This round, they are only doubly so, as it's a 4 versus 1. Jenna, the last player left standing. Something tells me, even inside 15 seconds, even he can't pull off a 1 versus 4. He shall not. And MnM convert round number 4 their way, taking us to 3-1.
The fact that Elation can get into break that way, and we've sort of discussed a couple of ways that you can make that happen, is mind-blowing to me to begin with, when there is already a rotate there and someone should be sitting there 9 times out of 10. Maybe he's worried about a grenade, so he backs on up, so on and so forth, whatever that might be. But the fact that Elation keeps getting in, but it's also keeps not working for them, it just is a bit mind-blowing to me in both sides. MnM shouldn't be allowing people to repel in. Of course, they didn't in the end there, but they also shouldn't continue a mistake that obviously is not working time and time again. I don't know if Macko just don't want to deal with the walls. Do they not want to deal with the mirrors? Do they not want to deal with the walls? Do they not want to bring a Kali? Is that why they're not going the conventional way, the meta way? It's hard to say, but they've clearly dry run this. This is clearly part of their strategy. And unfortunately against MnM, it's just not working.
Well, I appreciate an attempt all the same. And here a different attempt will be made altogether. Keenan going across the playing on the glass. Now, there's been a lot of hype and furor around the new glass and whether or not we're going to see it completely overtake the meta. I say new. Significant changes, yes, but nothing new in terms of actual mechanics. All works the same as before, just a much quicker recovery time. Now, when you're looking through smoke and things like that, you will have those yellow targets illuminated a little bit quicker. But the fact that you currently have Ace also so prominent in the meta means that you have 4 smokes to play behind. That's a lot for Keenan to be able to play behind here, especially if he can clear heads as fast on the glass as he has been on other operators so far across these 2 maps. It could be the change that Macko are looking for, but let's not also forget that MnM here, rather than going back to initiation, have swerved that entirely, and as you said, Jess, have gone down to playing inside a lab instead.
Yeah, this is the final site they really like to play here on Theme Park. It's the 3rd and only one that they real go to. It's kind of surprising. As I spoke about Armory before, is sometimes people's entire first site, they love to go there. Lab, I feel like, is a really tricky one to push in as an attacker, because you've got 2 options. You can either go take Lab and, you know, manage to get off a plant there with some smokes and whatnot, some okay crossfires, but it all hails off a Hail Mary through a window. That should not be allowed, and MnM says it's not allowed, and Macko wanted to do a rush, but nothing was set up to promote that whatsoever, and Des, I don't think they read that round and that push right either. It just seems to be everything going wrong.
It's like trying to do some damage to someone with one of those colourful noodles that you get at a swimming pool. They're just not really going to have any effect, to be honest with you, Jess. They try and burst their way in, they try and find kills, but alas, only 1 to their name, and the glass is now dead along with the ace. There are no smokes left. It's all going to be standard siege for potentially the last 2 minutes of this round. We'll see at what pace Macko really want to push forward with. With a Nomad and Nash on side and a pretty quiet Jenna so far, I'm not too optimistic this round goes their way.
As I said before, it'd be good if Macko could get 1 more attacking round, because it would set them up to do pretty all right on the defensive and give them a little bit of a buffer. 1:30 left. Things kicked off in a very fast fashion in the start of the round, and it did not go Macko's way in any way, shape, or form. In fact, they only lost Nath, and that was just the Banshee, or rather the Banshee holder, and there were... I keep wanting to say Wamai, and you know why I want to say Wamai? It's because they've got the same set of colors. Do you read... Sometimes you read the operators based off their colors sometimes? I feel like I do that with, like, Bandit and Jaeger and...
Especially when they're on the same sort of side. And I know it's close colors, it's not identical, but I completely get what you mean. They are close. You know, I actually really took that the wrong way. I totally should have said, no, Jess, it's only you who's the idiot here. But alas, I didn't think to go down that line of thinking. What's wrong with me?
Wow, you're too nice today. What's wrong?
I know. Gotta get back into it. I don't know. Wait until the semis, and then we can have a good talk about it.
Oh, it seems like we're waiting an eternity here for the inevitable to happen, and MnM don't want to risk anything at all, because we've seen this happen before. Bonkers went bonkers in an ace in Clubhouse, and it's just one of those things that you know can happen. The head
You
is
saw the
just
head.
over and over. Yuzu can see the head, and he's just not able to capitalize on it. He does have an SFG, so one tiny little burst would net him a kill onto Sabos here. Sabos has no idea he's there, and as a result, he'll go down, and finally we get to the last 10 seconds of the round. Jenna is yet again somehow the last one alive on Ash, and oh, will he be able to get an exit frag? Haha, not today.
Comfortable for MnM. A all-in attempt coming out of Macko expires exactly the way you would intend it to, or at least expect it to. They try, they don't quite manage to get past MnM, a little bit too coordinated and ready for that. That forces us into the final round of the half with MnM sat at 4-1. I mentioned that kind of 5-1, 4-2 scoreline is what you kind of come to expect here on Theme Park. Absolutely going to end in one of those two scorelines. And for MnM, this should be a bit of a confidence builder because last map, as we all know, absolute car crash. Let's not forget, though, that it ended at 5-1 in the first half to the side of Macko. They found one single round as we went into the second half, and that pressure then just existed in all of the remaining rounds. The same could happen for MnM here, where they end this out at 5-1. They go on to win one more round in the second half, and suddenly it's Macko that have got all this pressure against them that one surprise round, one surprising play out of the side of MnM would be match over for them, and then we go into map number 3, which is Oregon.
I would like to see it go to Oregon because I really feel like that's what we deserve, I guess, between these two teams, especially when you're looking at MnM. I mean, I have in my dot points here, right on my notes sheet for this game, it says undefeated like Penta, and there are high hopes, as many would have assumed that they would snag one of the EUL spots alongside Penta. But I look at this game here, or rather look back to Clubhouse, and I go, actually, they're not an EUL team. They're not ready to enter EUL, not with that kind of gameplay. However, I look at Theme Park here and go, actually, yeah, some of what they're putting up is EUL-esque. And it's hard. I want to go to Oregon. I want to see a formation of them now that they're warmed up and whatever it is that they were lacking before has seemed to kick back in. MnM were an undefeated team in Challenger League regular season. Now they've finally had a map defeat, and it's against Macko, who was not undefeated. In fact, they only have one win. So it doesn't add up to me in some way, shape, or form.
See if the math works out for Macko in this round. Looks like it's going to be another similar start to this as we have seen time and time again. Going to start out looking in towards break room before looking in towards bunk. Only I would fully expect with MnM now being aware of it that is not the plan to go for. And someone on Macko must be screaming, okay, guys, let's not go for the rappel this time. We want to play someone on the windows, fine. As soon as it comes to trying to get inside, well, suddenly you're putting yourself at great risk, and they've got to be super mindful of losing yet another early death on the window. And Teb does get sprayed on a bit, only put down to about 25 HP, but has got to be so mindful that MnM are very conscious of what it is he's trying to do.
I'm wondering if Sabos has air jabbed all of the jump outs that could occur to Teb, because Theme Park warrants a lot of jump outs. You can jump out of control window, you can jump out of maintenance window, barrels, arcade window. There's a lot of jump out opportunities here onto the person repelling, and I don't think anyone's actively watching that for him. One of those mirrors will go down, and that was between sight. Yet another vertical hole opened up by Jenna. So he is doing what he needs to with his Ash charges, and he's making a big impact. But somehow Teb is repelled in. And again, it goes to a lost person. MnM must think that they're getting a freebie every time they hear someone either attempt to repel in or actually repel in. Oh,
3k for Fonkers, carrying on just as he started in the last map. Wouldn't a second ace be lovely to see? Nath, I agree with you, but shh, keep quiet, because you're going to curse him, as you've now done. Jenna bringing down Fonkers, but it is a 2 versus 4. Timing-wise, there is still plenty to play for. There's 70 seconds on the clock. They can afford to breathe easy a bit here. And before drones on side, let's take the time to reassess our options here. You've got Keenan still on side, as we've already seen multiple times pop off. Jenna, who slowly warming into the game. Very slowly, mind you, at that kind of comment. So if something tells me this is not going to go the way they want, and it should end as MnM in a 5-1 situation. Very comfortable position to be going into the second half of Theme Park with.
the problem now is that they don't really have the control that they need, nor do they have the openings onto site that they would need. I'm not sure how it looks on the wall with the mirror, or whether that's already been opened up or not. It's hard to see, actually. Okay, so it's still up, but it's on a soft wall, so Jenna could foreseeably deal with that, but I think he's used both of his Ash charges, so he can't do it. Now he's just going to walk on into waiting room. Do they know about this? Oh, TCSG in hand means he gets flattened by Yonka, and it's all up to Keenan now. He had a heck of a lot of kills back on Clubhouse, but I don't foresee him with 10 seconds being able to pop 3 other players. Yonka down to nothing. I think these are just exit frags now.
Exit frags, padding the stats, whatever works for him just fine. He has collected it out. He's going to try and do what he can, but we all know exactly how this is going to end. This is the MnM going 5-1 at the halfway mark. Much better than what we saw previously. Some lol exchanges, why not? You know full well chat is now going to be just full of lol, by the way.
Yeah, everyone's just be like, lol. They did when an accidental T came out. So, wouldn't put it past them.
True.
True.
Tell you what happened actually as well. I was going for the chat button and ended up entering T for some bizarre reason. As we now switch over, MnM are the ones going on to attack, as you can very clearly see, with Glass currently being hovered by Nath. May 6 pick that one away, or may opt to stick on it. There we go. I was going to say, surely thinking about the amount of utility here with a Goyo available, things like that, you do want a Zofia, especially where a Clash has now also been 6 picked in. The things are looking relatively normal. Let's see then, if with this being the map pick of the side of Macko, they've got something special prepped on the defense, because they are going to need, for 4 rounds straight, something magic to be able to catch up to MnM.
Given their unorthodox attacking strats, especially over towards that break room and whatnot, I can only imagine that they have scrimmed this map quite a lot. This is something that they really wanted part of their map pool. You can tell by the way that teams don't just do the meta. They have their own set of strategies and multiple different ones per side. So I think for the most part, Macko on their attack looked like they knew this map. They weren't able to really put those rounds on the board that would be reminiscent that they knew this map. I think it's going to be so much easier for them to display that on defense here. And just looking at this extended hold, it looks like they know exactly where the barbed wire needs to be, where the lines of sight need to go. Elation setting them up now. Sabos on the Clash, and that was 6 picked in too, so the attackers are not going to know just for the beginning that that is what's in hand. And I want to see how they play this. Do they play this aggro? Do they go super aggressive and hold cash off to the dying seconds, or rather over towards Volt? Or do they just keep using it as a rotating back tactic? Given how many reinforcements are there, Des, I'm not sure, but what's this rotate down? Ooh, they really want him.
They do. But whether or not they manage to pinch onto him is a different story altogether. We've seen a team doing this recently, and I can't think of who it was. But the attacking team cleared the top floor, didn't bother looking towards Shrug, got themselves bit in the late round quite aggressively by not having the drones or anything else in position to be able to contest that. So here you've got to think about how much time the side of Macko can waste. He's going to get rid of that drone, but of course, once you've shot a drone, the best option is to move away. Stay in the same place. You might just find a pre-fire coming in for your head very quickly, or in that case, a grenade. Bonkers timing it near perfectly to bring down Jenna, and it will clear Elation out as well. That is lab cleared out in record time by the side of MnM.
There was 3 MnM players committed to being able to clear those plays, and I like the thought process from Macko there to go, oh, they're entering in lab. Let's go. Let's try and crossfire, get them as they're vaulting in, because they're all vaultable windows. So you got a better chance of winning that gunfight than if it was just the door or whatnot that they could run into. The problem was they really didn't have the crossfire they needed. Jenna decided to go back to where he was drone, and a grenade sailed in and almost killed him, and then only 1 bullet to put him out of his misery, really. 2 players, very important players, dropped from Macko, means that Sabos, without really a gun in hand, he's just a walking shield for the most part, has to rely on Teb and Keenan. A carbine and Elder's not too bad to try and hold off on, though, but that coordination from MnM means that they're probably in a pretty good position here.
This is all the downstairs focus they've had as well, let's not forget. They've now got to start looking to the upstairs where there is a clash waiting for them in the name of Sir Boss. You got Keenan looking to roam between the last 2 remaining members of the Maestro and the Clash, mind you, so a little bit of support being given towards both sides. And I'm thinking here, with the tools they've got, and given that there is still time to do for the side of MnM to even look at getting into the site, this could work out really well for them. That smoke is going to help out a lot. Bonkers almost getting sprayed out, but not quite. Now being pinged up by a Clash. They're in a spot where 2 are pushing it. He knows that he's dead here. It's like the undead staring at you. Serbos going to go for a 360. Tries to go for the 1, but can't quite net it. Plants going down from Nate here. It's all down to Teb on his lonesome. Going to spray around and find 1 after a whiff shot coming out. MnM very comfortably going to take round number 7, putting themselves at match point, and this is looking like a pretty much dead on repeat of what we saw in the last map. Though.
I mean, it's not that surprising that a lot of teams take their opponent's map. I remember back in, and I don't know if it was stage 1 of EUL or the last season of Pro League before it moved into the EUL format, there was a lot of teams who would be taking each other's map pick and the map that the other team preferred over others. So I don't see it as sort of like an anomaly of any kind. I kind of see it as the trend for some of these teams is that they feel that they're ready to go on a map. And then the other team goes, oh, we're on the back foot here, so let's just do our best with what we've got. And that just dismantles on the fly. The adaptation mid-round just overcomes what the team that's so prepared on the map has to set up. I think that's kind of what Macko has fallen into the trap of here. They started on attack. They need to win pretty much every defensive round to bring themselves back up to match point. And now they're in a picture-perfect, reminiscent moment of what we saw in Clubhouse, as you said before. I like it. It's kind of a bit of karma a little bit. Yeah, MnM swinging around going, we can give you a taste of your own medicine. I don't think Oregon is going to be an easy fly for Macko either. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to look at the numbers on that, Des.
Honestly, if this goes through to Oregon, then MnM are in full flow then. Like, on club, they looked scrappy, they looked a bit erratic. We mentioned around the nature of which they collected themselves for the day. Maybe they were just in their spot where they hadn't had their warm-up, they hadn't got themselves into the action. Yes, Macko played well. Yes, Funkus was the only real one that showed up to play in that last map. He's done it again here, mind you, with 13 kills to his name so far. And I really hate to highlight an individual player, but Elation is currently going James Bond on us. Contribution this map, pretty much zero.
Bit of a shame, unfortunately, because I've always called him the cool, calm, collected support player that Macko's needed, especially when the attackers get onto site. He always seems to be able to have those 1vx moments or 2vx moments where the team is able to pull things together in the dying seconds. He's just had no impact here whatsoever, and I'm sure that's been crippling for him mentally, as him sitting there going, I'm not having the impact for my team. We're losing crucial rounds here. We're on match point against us. So my problem is here now, do they have the tenacity and the mental framework here to go, okay, we've got what we need, let's play as a team, and let's bring them down. And I think MnM are on just a bit of too much of a roll right now.
Unfortunately so. This map looks almost wrapped up, but we'll give it time. We've seen on the last map how things can be clawed back by the losing side. It did still end 7-4, mind you, and I know that the tail of the tape will tell you 7-4, not bad, kind of surprising that Macko won, but whatever. It felt a lot more dominant by the side of Macko for the most part on that match, and again, scorelines might not show, but you definitely can't write off their performance. On this map, maybe a little bit of a different story so far. On the defensive side, you've got to start grabbing 3 or 4 rounds. This is the map to be taking defensive rounds. It is the map that you picked, no less as well, let's not forget. I'm kind of surprised we aren't seeing a mirror being brought out and instead more of a lean towards things like the Kai being dragged along by the side of MnM, even with no Maverick and Thatcher on side. They're still saying, you know, we don't care. We will deal with the Kai. We'll find ways around it. We'll see if they can.
Well, they've got to make something work here, because if you don't have that mirror to play with, which would actually really help Sabos right now. He's got a mute jammer to work with there, and now he'll be able to surely trick that one off. It might take the first one, but not the second. And as a result, they're going to have to use one more grenade. They've drawn him out, so he'll need to make sure he's not in the way. And no more Electric Claws means this C4 will have to hit. He might get 2 for the price of 1, and it gets shot mid-air. That's exactly what happened against them before as well. What a shame. That could have been the big hit they need here with 30 seconds left.
I think when MnM are playing that C4 game exactly the same way that we just saw a Macko attempt to do, they're going to be very aware that C4 is going to come sailing their way at some point or another and deal with it pretty nicely. Now in a spot where with this opened up, they can start smoking things out and going for the push, and they will do just that. They find the kills they need. Great plus support play from Nate from behind there to ensure that Yonka can get in and go for the plant. There are 2 kills coming back for the side of Macko. Plant still being stuck. C4 coming through. Can he connect it onto the planter? It looks like there's no planter left to be alive. It's only Nate by himself, and he knows this round is done and dusted. Try as they might, Macko do collect those crucial kills and will take round number 8.
There was a flurry of kills there coming out, and I think actually a couple of them were Jenna. I didn't manage to see his first-person perspective of those, but there were a couple of really crucial kills there from Jenna that he's been otherwise not able to have on the first half. If he can come stepping up here in the second half and help, you know, deny some of those executes here from MnM, things might start to look good. My problem is that MnM, they're not really a plant or an objective-based team for the most part. They don't really have a lot of plants to go by. Most of their wins are via elimination rather than attempting to execute, even though you can tell that that's what they're setting up for. Usually the round will end via eliminations first. And I think that MnM losing during an execute is not really that surprising, but it also just goes down to the fact that can Macko keep that up round after round after round? Because what do we need? 4 more in a row to even push it to overtime? I said it to MnM last map. I just don't think it's possible for teams that have kind of been on the back foot to put that many rounds in a row on the board.
Very tall order. And I mentioned a couple of times around the craziness you can do, the rushes, the off picks, the strange things that might just surprise you the side and get you that one crucial round that you need to get over the finish line. And I think for MnM, although they're not looking to play that kind of crazy erratic game, they are very confident they can close things out. Let's not forget in that last round that despite losing, they still came down to a point where a diffuser was going down, and given a few more seconds, the outcome of that round could have turned out to be very, very different. Now go over to Bunk and Daycare for round number 9. Is indeed still at match point, as you can see at the top of your screens. And even on a site like this where we see so much popularity, but I'd say a lean towards something like a Mirror, to not see any coming out of Macko probably just screams that Mirror just simply isn't an operator they're prepped for at all. Maybe he was very used to it being banned away and just think it's not worth it. But it's not going to come out here once again.
Maybe alluding to the fact that, like I said before, they're so used to their strats that they've prepped this on. Why? You know, their coach would be telling them, do what we prepared. There's no need to change it, because if it's worked in scrims and we've, you know, identified any weaknesses that we could find during scrims, then don't change it. Let's do it this way because this is the way that works. Unfortunately, against MnM, it hasn't always worked. And I'm wondering whether or not that lack of ability to adapt is going to bite them in the bum here. And when you're on match point for MnM, all you need is that one round, as we spoke about before. I'm excited for it to go to Oregon either way, because I think that will really be where it hits its head.
Well, I think it's come to a head, and it basically becomes a best of one like we get in the regular EUL season, where both teams have showed their flair on each other's map picks, and then Oregon, of course, has to 100% be the decider. But I agree with how much seemingly almost every single team in EUL, across CL, across APAC, we've seen teams playing on Oregon. It feels like the go-to map that needs to decide how a series concludes. But this one still needs to end out first, or this second map at the very least. MnM making slow but good progress. They're getting themselves towards office here, with a bit of help from utility being slung through into the office room itself. Even a smoke coming out there towards the end as well. You know, of course, we're pushing in towards Bunk and Daycare here, so although they might have control of some of the east side of the map, you need to start pushing forward, because all you're going to find yourself doing here is getting yourself gated inside this connector through from cash in towards office and slowly picked apart.
Speaking of slowly getting picked apart, that Aldo will come bursting through cash, and Elation will also be able to get Nath. That's a good use of the C4. We said that Elation had a really rough matchup so far, but now he has the impact when it counts. And a 3v5 would generally be able to give Macko the opportunity to be in a more advantageous position here. But Macko are backed all the way up on the site. They know the numbers advantage they have. There's no need to aggress anymore. That's a smart decision. And as we're at the 40-second mark, MnM look absolutely desperate to get a pick.
Yeah, no drones on side means this is all coming down to the individual players and what they can achieve. Serbot's going to go down actually to Jonker, who comes in from behind. Pretty much trading that back onto Uzus immediately, though. The contest onto yellow stairs from Dats will bring things to 3 and 2. Finds the second. Actually, can he find the third as well? No, he can't. Keenan a little bit too prepped and waiting for yet another lull to come out and chat off the back of that one. But Jonker is going to find one, I think. No, he's not. It's going to be Teb connecting onto it first. Macko taking round number 9 in style. That round, I think, actually a perfect example of why so many teams hate attacking onto this map. Look at how long MnM got stuck inside a cache for. We hit the 2-minute mark once it had all gone by. 60 seconds remaining. Only then did they actually manage to push themselves through office.
Yeah, it is quite a nightmare of a map if you are attacking onto it in any way, shape, or form. It takes a lot of coordination, a lot of utility, and depending on the defender's setup, of which having that side cache wall opened up in those line of sights, which Elation opens up each time. Not only did they have the clash, their yellow ping over and over and over again, but with those yellow pings, the Elder just, pops up, that long angle, even with the holographic, just bursting in there. There's not a lot of places you can stand safely in cache, especially once you've opened up the breach. You're pretty much just a sitting duck in that room. It's a bit of a murder room, if you ask me. So I do worry for the attackers that take that and put a lot of bodies in there. You're kind of asking to essentially go into a gunfight, and MnM couldn't connect their shots, and Macko could, and that's unfortunately all it comes down to.
Hope that the changes here coming into Armory and Thrones. We are going to see the site be utilized. Last time MnM made use of it, or the time that MnM made use of it, a lot of the fighting took place upstairs.
It actually wasn't, by the way. I went back and checked.
There was 4 players upstairs though, right? There was the one pushing in from control and 2 or 3 holding inside a bunk.
Yeah, they didn't. That wasn't Armory. Nope.
I swear it was.
No, it was initiation.
You
can go
gaslight me
back.
now, I swear to God, I'll cry.
I am not gaslighting you, I promise.
No, I swear it wasn't, because they left it because of the shield. Oh, you're tormenting me now. I will go back and find out. I will check.
I promise.
Okay. Fine. All right.
Only time we've seen it on
I'm
this
tilted,
map.
bro.
We've never seen it from MnM. We will see it here from Macko. And I promise you, this is the only time we've seen it on this particular matchup between these two teams. And it'll be interesting to see how they play it, simply for the fact that Macko don't like Goyo as an operator to begin with, so that now that they'll get to play it on their side is interesting. I don't like Teb pre-setting up here because a simple drone will be able to tell us out really quickly, and a pre-fire from the attacker nets a free kill 9 times out of 10. Keenan does get Fonkers, however, and Teb, well, he'll actually get to walk away with his life. And a little bit of a question mark coming out. Where was Keenan? Where can I get a little bit of a spot as to where Keenan supposedly killed him? And where from? Where did he shoot from? From that door?
Pretty from there.
Wait, what? He wallbanged him? I'd be
Nah.
putting a question mark in chat as well. I'd be like, hang on.
How did that happen? Why am I dead?
Uh-oh.
I've got to check that back.
That was, you know what, whilst you check that back, let me analyze exactly what's going on here for
Yeah, you do
MnM. Because we're reaching the halfway mark. They have vertical control now, and they lost one of their players, their key soft breach players, who would have been able to dismantle this floor a lot quicker than Nafe can do with these breaching charges. It won't really matter for the most part because they should be able to get this floor quite easily. That will get Teb, and that's a great pick on one of the fraggers of Macko. But he was playing aggressive as it was already, and this last breaching charge will go down, and Nafe's opportunity now to be able to pick someone off or get at least one of these electric claws which have been placed on the side is really important. He can't find it yet. This is delaying them way more than it should.
They're always put into slightly awkward spots where even things like the Kali gadget will not destroy them. They'll just be remaining to the side. You get rid of one, don't need to bother with both, and that should mean that one of these walls gets opened up at the very least. So it's going to be this yellow taker. By the way, Medics was right. The kill did come from all the way far out west.
Wow.
The wall banged through, and then he leaps over the balcony and then retreats downstairs. That's why we didn't see the culprit in action. Either way, MnM have found themselves more kills than they bargained for in this round, I'm sure, with Macko at a pretty severe numbers disadvantage. Keenan himself, the wonder kill, you might call him, with Boss left alive defending in a 2 versus 4. This should be the round that MnM can close out here, given the advantage they have, and we'll wrap things up at 7-3. It's not quite the 7-4 that we saw in the previous round, but it is something. Keenan finds a second, and now going to try and look for a plant. They are blasting their way through here. Does he not know where the camera is? Still shooting him through him. Yonka's down to almost nothing, going to try once more. He might just get himself completely killed here. He's down to almost no HP.
No way.
Keenan comes round and finds 2. It's a quadra kill. It's a 1v1. How on earth? Macko managed to pull it back from the brink in a 4 versus 2 off a massive 4K coming out of Keenan.
Did you call him the Wonder Boy before? Because that's absolutely what he is here.
The wonder killer, the mystery culprit who disappeared from the crime scene. Describe him how you want, but either way, he's just kept Macko's dreams alive.
Oh, this is now doable. This is now within arms of reach for Macko. I have a little bit of a worry, however, because when you're so close to being able to bring it back to an overtime position, and you're MnM, for example, MnM might start to get desperate and play super aggressively. And if I was to compare the mechanical skill of Macko, all of the team, against all of the mechanical skill of MnM, I think MnM outdoes them considerably. I think there's players like Keenan, for example, who are absolutely great with their mechanical skill, which is why he's in a fragging role. But, overall, I think MnM out edges them on the mechanical skill alone. So we'll see. Either MnM starts to panic and they stall out, which a lot of teams do when they're in a panic situation, or they collect themselves. They say, boys, we're better than this. Let's get in and get things done. And they absolutely storm the site. Match point. It's all done. We move on to Oregon. Either way, this has been an excellent matchup nonetheless. We thought it might be a bit of a whitewash here for MnM.
We did, but we keep on being pleasantly surprised by Mr. Keenan himself. Him and Teb, especially this map, have been standing up pretty big, as you can see. Between them, 17 kills. On the other side, equally Fonkers, Jonker, and Nath. There's quite a number between them as well. 32, to be precise. Kills galore, it feels, across these 10 rounds to date. We'll see how the things conclude. 2 more potential rounds of normal time, or potentially 2 chances for MnM to close this out. I mentioned that last round felt like their best opportunity. It was a 4 versus 2. They had time to play with. Everything could have gone their way. But that evil eye, that goddamn evil eye, just meant they could never quite finish the plan.
And it's nice that Sabos decided to use that. Sometimes players will just go, oh, can you just keep red pinging on my evil eye and I'll swing instead? in that situation there, he couldn't have swung. He couldn't have gone anywhere. Yellow Stairs was opened up. Someone was on Dragon Door as well. It wasn't an advantageous situation for him to swing anywhere and deny it at all. There was no possibility. Keenan was the only one close enough in split to do damage. So if he can get the attention, if he can keep delaying, which he did down to the last 10 seconds, it's a beautiful use of that Evil Eye. And I think sometimes people forget that it does damage. You know, it's not just to give intel. It can also do quite a few ticks of damage if you spam it across.
You know how much damage it does per shot?
Is it 5?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
I quizzed Gio on a Maestro quiz once, live on broadcast. It was quite amusing, actually.
Oh, no. How many out of 10?
I only had 3 questions, to be fair, and I think she got 2. She did well. She did well.
There you go. See?
How many shots to overheat?
Oh, God. I'm going to have to count that in my head. Come back to me soon once I've gone the in my head.
Number of times I sat there and fired every single bullet of an Evil Eye. Not too many, believe it or not. Always normally at risk of it being shot before you manage to get full use of it. But okay, we'll come back to that one. Small revision break. No Googling, no cheating. Ouch. No blowing people up with grenades either, Fonkers. Jenna goes down. Opening kill found for MnM and secured. Can they put it back into a 4 versus 2 once again? Or will Macko make sure this round stays a much closer affair? Another grenade comes singing over, but doesn't quite down Sir Boss, except giving some wonderful deafening sounds in his ears. There's a second kill coming out. Elation. We spoke around how quiet he's been. Will strike back onto Nathan and bring down the Zofia. And like that, 2 kills come flying out of nowhere. I say 1 kill, a second, all but guaranteed onto Dats unless he can be recovered. And this could be Macko once again, bringing a round back from a massive numbers disadvantage.
Oh no, Saboss's attention was put elsewhere. It's all onto Elation. He's going to clutch this up. I said he can oftentimes have those cool, calm, collected 1vx moments. A 1v2 is what he needs, because I don't think Das will get picked
That's
up.
the diffuser.
30 seconds left. Drone is on him, and they are yellow pinging him actively. They have to time this pinch correctly, otherwise Elation will win this one out. Here we go. He can see the foot of the down player. He needs to reload, but he loads it. It's all over. Red Rover. MnM will walk away with the second map here on this best of 3, and it's going the distance.
And you were just willing Elation to swing around then and be prepared for that cross angle coming back out, but not quite. It does mean that both maps have now ended at 7-4. It means we are 1-1. It means that Oregon will be our decider. Ooh, I am very ready to see which way this series goes, because we have been pleasantly surprised by not just the teams, but some of the players themselves as well. Big performances from Keenan, from Teb, Fonkers. I commented in my notes previously that I really want to see Fonkers step up and re-show us what his old self was like. I feel like he has started to do so, and for MnM it guarantees them a map win. Who knows which way Oregon could possibly go, though, Jess? It's going to be an absolute scorcher to conclude this best of 3.
I've never seen MnM in their current iteration play Oregon. In fact, I have nothing here for them on Oregon. So this is going to be exciting no matter which way you put it. I don't think Macko will have anything to go off of here. And as we throw it to commercials and then we'll go back to the analysts, I'm hoping to see exactly what everyone else thinks in chat. We'll catch you guys soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Fluke and Hap on the analyst desk. And yes, Des did not mess up that transition because it was Chess that ended up saving the day to take us to ad break. And here we are. Going to wrap things up as MnM took it back on map 2. Fonkers, I gotta say, Fluke lives up to the name. Quite bonkers indeed.
What a day. What a day for Fonkers to show up. As we said kind of early on, he hasn't had the best season. He's was ranked bottom of the board for the team in terms of CGG stats. Not to say he had the worst time, he was still even on KD. He just didn't live up to the very high expectations a lot of us had set for him. And now, so far, for an MnM that I would still say, even with that map win, isn't quite living up to expectations. You look at the end of the rounds and the executes on those attacks, and they were sloppy and they were mistake-laden. They weren't as good as what we can have usually seen from them. Now, obviously, they're going to Oregon. It's going to take more than just a bonkers. MnM, you got to keep stepping it up, my guys.
Hap, the biggest problem seems to be if your team starts on defense, your opponents just... by the time they're able to mount like any actual effective resistance, it's almost too late. Do you feel that defense-sided nature of our current matchup is going to pull the same way in Oregon?
It is the nature of the game. Even the game is a defense-sided, game, and it's like, when you're up in the lead, it's a better morale that you're going to be going up against than when you're, for example, 5-1 behind. It's really hard to bring it back from there on, especially if you lose your first round straight away. So it will really depend on the coin flip, which will decide who gets to choose the starting side for map 3. Because Oregon is also one of these maps where, of course, it is not as clearly defense favored as, for example, Team Park should be. But there's still a defense bias in that map.
I wonder if this is going to favor Macko a bit more in this. Now, we saw how MnM were great on their defense and controlling the map and really baiting Macko into positions where they can deal with them effectively. It's something that we see replicated quite often in most maps and a lot of times in Oregon. We talked about Oregon so many freaking times over the past 2 or so months that it's something we wake up with cold sweat nightmares in the middle of the night with. So my question is, Macko, looking at what they did on Theme Park, what do they need to change or improve on to deal with MnM?
I guess it's tough for Macko because for me, they've played above and beyond their expectations. They're starting on their defense as well now. As we said before, it's a map which can play quite well into that. You still got to give credit to players like Keenan, who's obviously having a huge day. The clutch there before, where he was able to pull the 4K as well. I guess for Macko, it's keep doing what they're doing, and I think they could see themselves out very well here. Oregon from MnM, we've only seen it once in recent times. It was against Na'Vi, and they won it, sure, but they started on their defense. So 5 of their 7 was from their defensive half. Was from a period of time where they were very, very good in that situation. They're starting on their attacks. They haven't had the best history when they start on their attacks. It could be Macko's if they keep themselves steady today.
That's the thing. Macko, they are playing beyond expectations. Many would have expected MnM to take this in a quick 2-0 fashion. But here we are, map number 3, the first one of these quarterfinals. The first map 3 is about to get underway. And I'm excited because Macko, especially Keenan, have been living up. They have been absolutely playing beyond what many might have expected for them. Showing that hashtag I'm pasta is definitely working. So I'm having high expectations here for them. I hope that they're going to be able to turn the loss they just had into a win of themselves, because I would like to see these guys continue to the semifinals.
I wonder. I mean, we saw this on Monday with Winstrike versus Kovana, where Sloth pretty much, put everybody on his back and carried them through the game, as everybody's kind of saying it, even Mr. Officer. But do you think that here either one of these two teams can produce that 1 or 2 players that can really carry them through an entire 3-map series, because exhaustion starts to set in at some point?
I think that's it as well, is when you're looking at exhaustion, when you're looking at these long form plays, obviously the other 2 best of 3s ended within 2 maps. Here we know MnM have a lot of history. They've played long form games. Their ride here was from a best of 5, where they played all of the maps versus Na'Vi, where they played Oregon last, and it was Na'Vi's first pick though, so they had it a little bit earlier on in the day. So I suppose it becomes a question, it becomes an answer of surely they can't be too tired out. There's not really been much else to stress them, I would say, from this.
It is still a very stressful situation. To remind everybody watching at home, I don't know if we can pull our bracket graphic up very, very quickly before we toss it into our game, but we had 8 of the teams, 12 in total, that made it through from the groups back into the bracket. And yeah, these top 8 teams now are trying to fight. It's a single elimination bracket. I think Jess touched on this multiple times throughout the past week. So yeah, gotta look out for it. Lose to date, it is all done. Though, let's toss it back to our casters. Jess, it's you.
You okay?
Choose you.
Jess, it's you. We'll take us back to Oregon and try to move through all of this. So please, I need to get a cup of water. All yours.
Who knew, Jess? You try and utter the name of a god and you start choking and unable to say it. Poor Milosh. His throat must have been infected at the moment he tried to say our name.
Wow, it's like he who must not be named. You know what I mean? It's like a Voldemort
Yes, Fluke,
reference.
you
there.
heard me. A god.
Fluke in the background going, "Oh
Fluke's
God!"
talking smack and you guys can't hear her because she's off camera at this point. Anyway, let's go. Game number 3. Oregon coming right up between MnM and Macko. Been a screamer of a series so far and set to only get even more intense. This is it. A spot where you're out of CL for another year, or if you get to progress for a chance at that spot, to shoot for that spot in EUL. All rides on one single map. Let's get into operator bans and see how things shake up, Jess.
I think the operator bans will play a really big part here on Oregon. Oregon has been tipped to be one of the most balanced maps. I kind of don't agree, but out of all of the competitive map pool, which map do you kind of put up as the best one? Probably Oregon. I still think that it does lean one way over the other sometimes, depending on the bans. A Maverick ban coming out. Does this get followed by a Thatcher ban? Or does MnM turn around and go, no, we need it? Or we will play Carly? Why? Okay, this is a target ban towards Jenna from Macko. And I'm going to be really damn honest and brutal here. And I used to be Jenna's coach, so I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. Jenna is trash on Ash. There is no need to target ban him. And if it's because of his breaching charges or because of the flashes or whatever, they've still got Zofia. So,
Welcome back, Jess.
Thank you. Hot takes every now and then.
Every now and then. Jesus, it's been a while since I'm coming out here. I used to coach this guy. I've got him really well with him, really good professional relationship, but absolutely trash on Ash, by the way.
I mean, go back to the past 2 maps,
Christ.
specifically on Theme Park, and look at how he
Maybe
played
he's having
Ash.
a bad day. You ain't got to murder the guy in cold blood like that.
Today, he is trash on Ash.
All right, let's take a look at the stats. All right, yeah, it's trash. Never mind. I looked at the stats.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's get into it.
Carry on.
Now, to be fair, there are a good number of teams. I mean, I say a good number of teams, actually. I think it was Kavana that did this right in their game. They banned Zofia. And at the time, we commented and said, surely you ban away the Ash because you're removing 2 breaching charges and 3 flashes as opposed to Zofia, where you're removing the 2 impacts as well as the 2 concussions. So I think as well as being a target ban, it's also making things more difficult for the other side to deal with the utility meta when it starts being brought along. And to be fair to the side of Macko, I feel like they've somewhat acknowledged that. They're bringing along the Goyo here as well. They've got 2 shields coming in with the Valkyrie and the Smoke. They are aware that without an Ash, this could be a little more difficult, although normally it does open you up to other options. Maverick being banned away means no extra frags being brought along here. I don't know. Nothing worth shouting about, I guess. You're looking here towards having the double hard breach, along with, of course, the Thatcher given it's available, and the Sledge also being brought along for MnM.
I know it doesn't seem like much, but Bonk is having his drone in the drone hole next to the wall of sight, and you can see him just there hiding in there. And the fact that no one's checked it yet, maybe they will later, but if that stays there, that's a worry because they'll know exactly if someone's playing behind that shield or not at all times. And it seems very minor, but it won't in the mid-round especially. And when you're trying to take elbow control, if they do try and take it. And they've also had to move the ADSs right up into elbow, into that 90 bit of elbow, purely because the Thatcher is still in play. We didn't see this last map. We will see it now. We did see it on Clubhouse. And Jenna is almost getting stuck up in tower, trying to catch that drone out. He's got the Vector, so short range, this is really good and advantageous for him, but he'll rotate back to site. And we'll see whether or not this is a top-down attack over towards Freezer. Are they going to use Laundry Stairs, or will they finally rotate over to blue and play into Macko's setup?
Seen a Grizzly from Kavana. I remember watching his game in Oregon the other day, and the number of times where he got caught running down those stairs was a bit ludicrous. So I'm glad to see that Jenna is not going to suffer the same fate. Very commonly, you'd see Keenan or a Jaeger in general playing on these stairs, just taking out a couple of drones and then pulling their way back down to site. That clearly has not been Keenan's role in this round. He's playing out towards Freezer instead and looking to maybe cause a bit of trouble on the upper floors if he turns out to be completely ignored. He's like a child and needs attention. If you ignore them for long enough, they are going to come and break something, and likelihood is it's going to be members of MnM.
Well, it looks like Hatch is the #1 starting place here, and they're saying, Funkers, please EMP the Hatch, bro. We need to get it open. We're already hitting the halfway mark of the round. What? Hello, team?
Team, hello. Pick
Pick it up. Oh,
Yep, good.
okay, that's right. Mistakes evaded there. I think there was a little bit of miscommunication in multiple members there, from Fonkers to Nave to Yonka. Everything was going bad, but that's okay. You know what's not okay? Time management. Now they're rotating down to blue, and oftentimes this can take between 40 and 60 whole seconds to take. They do have a Thatcher. They're going to have to place it almost perfectly so it doesn't get caught by an ADS here, and they've got multiple Go-Yo shields to go against as well. They're going to have to move super fast.
Yeah, I mentioned the whole banning away the Ash piece just removes some utility from you. You still have the frags, you still have the Zofia, but you're looking at the amount of time that has been wasted here so far. Oh, Elation might just die to the smoke. No, just get himself back inside just about. It's down to about 25 HP, and you commented on the drones. In fact, they've still got one running around here, which Jenna still hasn't dealt with. I think it will get finally killed off, so now it's more of a blind challenge coming in here. Jenna's going to take the tackle, brings down one of the. Can he get a second? No, he can't. That's neutralizing things out pretty quickly and bringing us to 4 versus 4. But with only 30 seconds on the clock, I am slightly concerned here for MnM that despite getting into a spot where it hasn't looked like they've been too hard pressed, they're taking a long time to start clearing out this utility. The shot comes in from Funker, and they finally have this control up towards the north side. With the shield from Servos playing in the back corner of supply, he's now looking to go aggressive as his backside does get opened up. Sees the angle but doesn't connect the shot. C4 comes out but gets shot out before he can pull the trigger on that one, and they know nothing else will come of that. That's going for a plant in the default spot. They must know about the potential for a C4 to come singing out. I'd say that the Valkyrie's got a shield, so it can't happen, but they can find 3 kills out of nowhere. 1v2, how does he run past him? Hello? What was that?
I gotta see this. Oh no, Ted. I actually thought, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I thought they just ran past each other and didn't see each other in the flurry of things, but he actually missed his entire MPX mag on him. You know what happens? He got the deagle in the end. It doesn't matter. A win's a win, supposedly. It's not just live to thousands of people.
Okay. Well, just okay. That happens. It happens. It's in the past. It's in round 1. That is now just a number in history. We don't remember moments like that. We go into round 2. We go into Kid Storms. We head onto the upstairs. The first round was scrappy. As I mentioned with MnM, they did get a bit hung up, I feel, with cool. We committed all of us upstairs to getting meeting hatch open. Then we all moved to construction. Oh, wait, there's 45 seconds left. Damn. We better start moving fast. Macko at least get the round win. For MnM now, you are starting to wonder, okay, well, where are we going to find these attacking wins then? Is it going to be up here on the top floor? More than likely not. I don't think this is one of those sites where you see a lot of attacker success for the most part. You see some creative attacks, I'll give it that much. I can never forget Tempera's wonderful execute inside of Kids making use of the arrow just a couple of weeks ago. As highlighted here by Menace, came singing in through that window up towards the north, got a plant down, and G2 were none the wiser. It was beautiful.
Yeah, that was a fantastic round, and very blessed to have been able to witness that one live. Big thing for me is thank you to the beautiful Captain Fluke as well for throwing over the stats for me. MnM have played this once, and it was against Na'Vi in Yukon. And that was in the Yukon finals as well. And I'm not going to put a lot of stock into it and to say that, oh, well, they're a very defensive-sided team. I mean, a lot of teams on Oregon are defensive-sided just by virtue of it being a defensive-sided game. So for me, they walked away with 2 attacking rounds, no more. Then they walked away with 5 defensive rounds there to be able to cap off that win on Oregon. They have a win on it. Their attacking rounds probably weren't the best, and is why they only walked away with 2. But when I say only, that's not too bad. I mean, if you're pretty defensive-sided as a team, 2 attacking rounds put you in the safety.
Quite terrifying, actually. I chose to look at the stat just to confirm that I somewhat knew what I was talking about. Kid Storms is the most defender-sided site at 71%. So it is the one where you see the least attacker success. It does require the workout. There's an awful lot to do. Things can be a bit one-dimensional. We all know that the go-to attack, I think we assume here, is that you take control of Attic, you take control of Master, you open up Wardrobe, you go for a plant inside a game, and if you haven't got C4 watch downstairs, you're going to get blown to the high heavens and denied out that way. That is always the go-to standard assault, and a few teams have got a bit creative using things like Ying, but for the most part, that is how this site always plays out.
Well, MnM have decided to speed this one up. C4 wasted from Jenna, unfortunately, because that could have played a crucial role in being able to C4 below during the plant if that does occur, and I love that. They've placed the Excaliburs high up there, so that can't be impact trick from below. And as a result, now Sabos might be able to get this set if he places it correctly. Yes, he will. And now there's only one more set available. It won't be a walk-through hole. Actually, it will, because this should make the wall soft. It's a brand new trick of getting rid of the red bar and reinforcement. There we go. And now they'll be able to at least impact or sledge it or whatever they need to do. And that's an easy peasy. So yeah, that impact trick is now null and void on that particular spot.
At least for the top one, absolutely. I mean, the lower one you can still get away with if you have a couple of members willing to rotate through. We've seen a lot of Malusi when they bring along those impacts be able to help deny things out. But in that case, with only a couple of impacts available for that moment in time, it will get opened up. So now as MnM, you're looking towards that execute that I mentioned. You're looking towards game whilst also trying to take your way through Attic to pick off members. But Elation wins the gunfight. He has control of the north side, and that means the smoke will reign free. The final one comes out. That'll leave us with about 30 seconds on the clock when it comes around to execution time in a 4 versus 3 for the side of MnM now that that's been put back on his feet.
Oh no, Elation swings out. There was no necessity. Time was dwindling for MnM, and that's what they really need to play off of. And now they've left it down to the two clutch masters of Keenan and Sabos. We've seen them do a lot before in this particular best of 3 as well. Keenan often hits his shots, and now he needs to make it count because the plan is going down. Nafe is unobstructed here, and MnM have got this in the bag, and that round 2 will go into their hand off the back of some really good placement during that plant. And I like to think that probably came off the fact that the team rotated an entire player over towards Attic once one player had died there, and they identified that that was a crucial power position they must have, and to rotate someone over with 20 seconds left meant that they understood that fact.
I love that kid's window that Dats was playing on, sorry. I think it's one of the most powerful positions you can hold on the top floor. Mainly because you can contest onto the top of white stairs. You can restrict most of kit itself if there is a player in the back right corner. You can look to contest on any player trying to rotate through from Pig, and anyone trying to even rotate through site itself will get caught out on the crossfire as you look down and towards the white stairs. Really good spot for Dats to get into. It came late in the round, but it came at the absolute perfect time to make sure they could definitely get away with that plant. After 2 rounds, MnM have found the one of the 2 attacking rounds that you think they really need here in the first half to give themselves some safety going into the second. Macko looking at that and thinking, generally defender lean in sight. We just lost it. Let's sweat a little bit around that one. Make sure next time round we don't go making those same mistakes. We are going to try again up here by the looks of it. We'll see how their hold comes through. If anything too creative comes out to change things around, and maybe a roam is the answer. Again, looking at the likes of Teb and Keenan, their whole identity is as these crazy roaming operators or as players. Now's the time to show that and make some damage happen on the side of MnM.
The last time that Macko, back when they were with Samsung Morningstars, they played against IGP on Oregon and they won 7-1. Now,
I wonder how you know that, Jess.
I know, right?
Just pulling up all your coach notes.
I am. And look, for the most part, they won that quite confidently because at the time, IGP wasn't quite a hard opponent to go up against. That's probably something they were quite confident going in to begin with. And for the most part, they also were able to start on defense. So I think that's something that also gave them a leg up in that matchup. So I can't really pull much from that match and go, oh yeah, you know, this is what kind of sided team they are, or this is the kind of players and what we expect them to play. It was so long ago. I'm not going to put much stock into it, but that probably goes to show you that they haven't played this map in a competitive setting in a very long time, and they've probably just been scrimming it. And the problem with just scrimming something is that not all teams are able to yeah, I think he's missed that one out. Not all teams are able to possibly get every bit of information till they get into the game.
Possibly not, but let's see with that wall now being opened up on Attic side, how fast MnM can push through. Once more looking towards Master, no doubt into Trophy, and no doubt also looking towards getting this wardrobe wall opened up. There is this Pulse playing on the downstairs, and I like that they're looking for some denial down here. That same hole being opened up again, I think, to look below and make sure that there is no threat coming in from downstairs. And with users holding in this spot, you can watch for these rotations that might come out, I think, of the player from downstairs. So Jenna shouldn't be able to comfortably get his way out laundry stairs and look to contest up armory without being spotted out by someone, no doubt holding on a flank drone.
Does Dats know? Is that why he's rotating down? Is he aware that someone is playing below? No, he's just trying to grenade up to make sure that Sabos can't impact trick here. It was actually a misplaced grenade, and that one's a better placed one, but it actually doesn't go anywhere. I'm not sure where that one went in its entirety. One more X-Kairos, and no, Sabos misses it, and he misses it twice. That will surely get the wall open. No, it doesn't, because guess what? You needed that extra bit of X-Cairo on the bottom red panel there of the wall to make it soft. Surely this gets it now. And as a result, they're dwindling on time yet again, but we've seen them make something of it. For Macko now, they don't need to be peeking things unnecessarily. Play the time and, oh, it didn't get it. Oh, no.
Oh.
Do they have any
dear.
Selmas left?
Yes,
Okay.
2.
There we go.
Panic, no more, Jess. It's okay. Selmas are present.
Good.
Since we've seen that new opening up actually as well, it's been really interesting how when that first came out, everyone was like, what? No way. But it is very, very specific, as you say. Hey, look, this isn't very specific. It's Cerbos holding down left click into anyone who's trying to walk forwards. Cerbos finds himself yet another, and in fact, 2 kills swing the way of Macko very comfortably. Round 3's over before the attack even really got underway, it felt like. Macko will give themselves a little bit of breathing room going into round number 4.
Well, that was a round that was very likely going to be theirs, considering MnM lost a lot of time having to deal with that wall, getting rid of the panels top and bottom, and then things just went wrong with it. I don't know, did the Impact get rid of one of those X-Kairos, or when he placed the X-Kairos, only 5 of them deployed out because of how low he put it? I'm not sure. I'll have to go look back on it later. But either way, that was really what put the stick in the side there. They really were just not time efficient, I think. And that hole that you were talking about, a bedroom, by the way, over towards Armory, it just gives them a little bit of freedom to rotate in and out without having to cross over a line of sight from Trophy Door. So if they wanted to go back to main stairs, they'd have to go through Trophy Door out and around, and it puts them in too much danger. So by making their own door, it's a bit safer for the attackers as well.
Once we've had a bit of a flirt around the top floor for a while, we're going to head ourselves back down into the basement where Macko had their earlier success. Maybe invigorated by their victory on Kidstorms, they can make a third one happen for them to bring us up to 3-1. For MnM, we clocked that there was a lot of time invested up inside of meeting, getting control of the meeting hatch, and then probably not quite enough time given to actually executing downstairs, getting control of boiler. We ended up with that very weird, hilarious 1v1 between Teb and the final remaining member of MnM. Let's hope here there's a bit more pace and zest to the side of MnM and their execute. Otherwise, it could only end up going exactly the same way.
The thing for Macko here is that they really need to walk away with as many defensive rounds as possible. They don't need to do what they did on Clubhouse, of course. They don't need to win the rest of their defensive rounds, because this is a much more balanced map, I think, overall. And there's a lot more possibilities for the attackers. My problem is that MnM, on their defense, they will have a lot better chance to recuperate themselves and regain that momentum, and than they will on their attack, for example. And that's the Thatcher gone. That pick is huge. I cannot understate how big that pick is now, because MnM will not be able to get hatches open and walls as well.
It's definitely more looking towards the hatches, I imagine, here, because meeting hatch can't be opened up. That means electric stays safe. Unless they can pull off some miracle. It's hard-pressed to see how this is going to work out for them. I was going to say if surely a freezer push would be the one to go for. I'm not just saying that because I saw the 2 Macko players come running down there, but there's definitely less reliance on hard breach and such and hatch play if you're looking towards something like that. Having security hatch does help, but I would fully expect that Macko haven't committed an electric claw towards keeping that reinforced.
They're going to have to win their 1v1s here, because there's no possibility for them to be able to get the hatch open. That is their first target here, and we saw it last time they'd made this push as well. Big problem for Cerbos is that he's got the TCSG, and generally you want to be able to hit shoulder up with that to be able to do enough damage. It was nerfed a few months ago, so it doesn't pack a punch like it used to. And I don't think Macko necessarily have to over-aggress here. My problem is that it looks like now they've rotated, like you said, for a freezer and laundry push. They'll get this hatch open towards freezer, and a lot of that reliance over towards freezer means all Macko needs to do is wait it out. You could even possibly let them take freezer right up until filing cabinet, and once they have that there, you could just deny from there.
Cool down timing, mind you, once again for the side of MnM. Without the Thatcher, it does mean that yes, they've had to rotate everything mid-round, and we've seen so many teams go for attack changes mid-round and then had not enough time left to deal with the utility or the requirements of that other side. You've still got shields over here to deal with, for example, and Teb is still currently playing inside of freezer, and given there are 40 seconds left, we've got to see a pace come out of MnM here that we have not yet seen. Magenta playing around towards utility. He's more than happy to say, look, I can deal with these X-Kairos, don't you worry. So there's oh so valuable hard breaches that could have been put onto very So those powerful locations here are going to be denied away for the most part. Teb dials back inside of sights, or at least back into the corridor, and now starts looking to contest through the soft wall. Teb finds one, a second comes through actually for Jenna, and Nath trading one back is going to be more of a consolation prize for them. This round ends exactly as you'd expect given they lost to Thatcher early on. Macko with round number 4.
So this is my one problem with this map, is that a lot of teams say it's super balanced, one of the most balanced maps. It's why we saw it like almost every single game for the first 2 weeks of EUL. And I disagree because the ban phase influences it heavily. There's no Maverick. You're relying on a Thatcher and or a Kali. No team is going to bring a Thatcher and a Kali. That's just insane. I mean, there's no need to bring that much. And if you lose a player like Fonkers who's on the Thatcher early on, it almost makes it impossible. Bottom 4 site, for example, is one of the most impenetrable fortresses if you don't have some kind of ability to open up one of the walls. And half the freezer wall was opened up, but it may as well not have even been opened up because there was a shield placed adjacent to it anyway. So defenders have probably even an 80% extra chance if there's no ability to destroy that wall denial, which I think makes it super defensive sided. So for me, if Macko can keep doing what they're doing here, they'll move over to dining and kitchen. You and I spoke about this particular side being quite defensive-sided, didn't we? And in fact had some of the highest defensive-sidedness in EUL at one point.
This particular site? You know, I think, Jess, I think we should go on a little adventure and go and find out.
We're pulling up the stats. But for
right now.
where? For where? For EUL?
Yes. So
Stage 1 or Stage 2?
Kitchen Dining had the lowest defensive win rate with 50%. This is Stage 2. I'd say let's go with the latest stage, given it's more recent. Teams are still kind of figuring out Oregon more, so I'd say back in Stage 1. Interestingly, the highest defensive win rate was Meeting and Kitchen.
Interesting.
So a lot more success seen on Meeting and Kitchen than on Kitchen and Dining, but here we stand.
Well, I can
What about here in
understand
Challenger
why.
League?
I mean, there's a few plays
Yeah,
on
and
it,
actually
so...
it's the same kind of story here. I mean, the gap is much closer. It's 55% on Kitchen Dining here in EUCL to 57% for Meeting and Kitchen. So pretty close there overall, but still the lowest win rate site is this site that we're on now in both competitions.
Well, people have started to work it out now, especially as attackers. The big power position of this site is showers, and it's an area where players will play the impact trick over and over and over again to try and deny them from being able to be, you know, given away that power position. I think once you lose showers, your ability rather to be able to deny the plant lowers just so much to the point where you would never really see a team get away with denying a plant without that position. They've got 4 impacts waiting there to try and deny this one singular hard wall that we're looking at. And thank you to our beautiful observer there for highlighting that one. I believe it's Medics today in with us, so thank you. And it's easy. It's actually, it's easy in my ear. Hello, Easy. Thank you. Wow, you've been...
All right, you know, I credited Medics earlier for spotting the God Shot. It wasn't Medics, it was Easy. It's easy for easy.
Oh no, look at how they're dealing with this. I've got to commend MnM. The way that they've been pairing some of these smokes and being able to throw Selmas in them so that they can't be spotted has been excellent.
What I'll also give is the fact that Macko are stacking up 2 operators here with Impact and Age ready to go. Oh, the challenge! Not going to go the way for Teb this time round. Nathan just goes, sit! Gets the kill for himself. And that is something. Almost flashes himself as well. After such a heroic moment, you then go and almost flash yourself. Congratulations, good sir.
Little bit of an oopsie, but that's okay. Some good trades coming out from Nath. He's having a huge impact here onto this power position. The time management here for MnM is much better, but we've got to say this is probably the offside for Macko as well. So all they need to do is deny the plant. Elation, how many smokes does he have left? He'll be the big hitter here. He's popped out 1, none left. Smokes will pop out from the attack. Can he get the plant off? Surely he does.
He's trying to do so. 3 versus 3. Plant is being sucked down, but Elation's going to collect a kill onto Yuzu's. The swing back for the counter. Oh, it's a 1 versus 2. As Elation will bring down Nate as well. And Fonkers, well, he's been here before. We've already seen him make it happen once, but he's going to get into a spot to be able to deny it. He wants small tower. He's going to have to go fast if he wants to be able to deny this in time. 2 seconds coming through. The contest is there, but no! He gets the spray down. He found the vertical angle, and Keenan's going to have to go aggressive here to try and bring him down. But something tells me he is simply not going to have enough time. He's going to try and piece out left or right. Which way has he gone? He's to the right, my good sir. But Fonkers pulls it off once again with an incredible 1 versus 2 post plan to give MnM the round they were looking for.
That's the experience of Fonkers. Fonkers has been around for quite a long time. I remember how his imposition in secret back at the Las Vegas LAN that we went to, and the way that he kept so calm and collected and did so well at that Vegas event. And I can't remember the name of it that it was called at the time. Allied. Yes, that's the one. And they managed to walk away winners of that.
Minor. Yeah, everyone remembers that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I know that Fonkers has a lot of experience with so many different players who are also still in Tier 1 or were in Tier 1. He's been able to play at multiple different capacities. His thought process there to rotate straight up to the vertical and make sure that he played time on that was perfect. Had he have been a second later, that would have been to the defense's side 100%. What did they have? 1 point something seconds left on the defuse? It was unbelievable.
Ooh. Beautiful. I mean, the funny thing is for Fonkers is way back in the day, he was on MnM. He was part of that original squad with like players like Doki, Kendrew, who did absolute great things, and then got that offer to go and join Team Secret. And obviously we know very shortly after which way those two teams went. MnM became Na'Vi, went on to become champions in Japan, and Secret sadly fell out of Pro League. And then, well, now we're in a spot where, as we know, they've completely changed roster. They've picked up a new organization, who formerly known as Auglis. And the old Secret, as we know it, with players like Meepy, with Leon, with Fonkers, is no more.
So many different iterations of teams, but something that always sticks by us is that MnM always has such a big name in the UK scene. They're one of the best UK teams at the moment. And
Across any game, it's worth mentioning as well.
Really?
Between any game I've been in, League of Legends, Overwatch, Rainbow Six, in the top tier of UK esports, MnM has always been present.
Wow.
But it's not by sheer fluke they've built two really solid rosters, the ones obviously now known as Na'Vi, and now looking at this roster, what they could be on course to achieve. Like, it's not by sheer fluke. The boys there do a wonderful job, boys and girls, of course, all do an incredible job in making sure that their teams are well prepped and able to give their best. So, small nod to them for being a very decent org that is very well loved in the UK. If that doesn't get clipped and put on their Twitter, by the way, I'm going to be so upset.
Did they send you a goodie box?
I meant to. I actually DM'd the Cal yesterday. I was like, Cal, you said you were sending me a box, mate. I did your voiceover for you. Where's my box? He's like, I'll check where it is. I'll let you know. I'm like, cool, cool.
Good. I'm just making sure that I wasn't the only one sent. I'm sure that everyone's
I
getting
want
there.
to shield them.
You should shield them. They've been a great organization for the scene, and they've propelled a lot of high-tier players into where they are now. But I almost got confused that this was a top 4 side.
Shield show, or is this a game between Macko and MnM?
This is a game between Macko and MnM, of which Macko is currently ahead.
It's both.
Oh, Lordy Jesus. All right, I'm bringing us back into the fray here, and the fray is they're going to try and get the wall soft again, and it requires Sabos hitting his impacts here. This one has to go, and it does. Great. Now he has to do it again for one more of them, and hope that he stuffs up the last, let's be honest, because he'll have all 3 of these Excaros. Wait, where did the other one go?
He used it on the bottom. It already got impacted off, remember?
No, but he has 3 Excaro sets to work with.
Top.
Where did the other one go? No.
It's at the top of the screen, Jess. There's a hole at the top of the wall.
Yes, but he has 3 to work with, not 2.
Yes,
3 sets,
one was at
and
the
he only has
bottom
1
and got
left.
impacted off.
All right, I can't count. Whatever.
Are you okay?
I have not had my coffee, and it is currently 5:30 a.m. I am struggling, and now I see what you say. No maths allowed. You know, clip it and rip me later, mate.
Oh, that's getting saved. That is getting brought up anytime you can give me a very big I am very smart moment, I swear to God. Oh, I love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. You know who else is loving it? Junker. He's loving bringing down Jenna. And a second kill for Uses coming out. MnM are high on life right now. This could work out to be a 3rd round on the attack for them, which would be absolutely massive here in Oregon. And they are well set to do so in a 5 versus 2. They're trying to go for a plan. Dats gets finished off. Nathan having to cancel things down. They are just ready, and they just shoot heads a little bit quicker. MnM with their 3rd attacking round surely are in a solid position to go into the defensive side and close things out here. But given how well Macko played so far today, you absolutely cannot write them off.
I cannot believe in my head that I couldn't count. I'm still
I
absolutely gobsmacked.
started laughing about it again.
Because
You were
I
just like,
didn't-
yeah,
it
well, where's the
didn't-
other one? I was like, Jess,
it
you just
didn't
saw it
click in my
getting
head.
detonated in front of your face.
It didn't click in my head that the 1, 2, 3, obviously, with the set that is already being utilized, is being destroyed. You've
It's
got to
so
cut me
good.
some slack every day of the week. I work until
No,
like
I
9
don't.
a.m. I never see sun. I don't know. I'm coming up with something.
Woe is me, Jess.
Yeah,
Woe
that's where
is
I'm going.
me.
Nonetheless, I do want to probably hype up on the point that you brought out, the fact that they've got 3 attacking rounds. The reason that's just so big is that I still do consider this to be a defensive sided map for a lot of, especially these teams that aren't in tier 1, let's say, and they're not quite as versed on their attack as they are on their defense, because as a majority, most teams can do better on their defense than they can on their attack, just naturally. To do well on your attack, you need to be a well-oiled machine, and not all teams, not to say that MnM aren't, but not all teams, especially below tier 1, are capable of consistently putting that up on the board on their attack, unless their opponents are struggling on defense.
The setup coming out of MnM is pretty expansive. You're looking towards the Goyo shields coming out for one. Is there other shields on the smoke and the Valkyrie as well? Can we just do a quick check? No, so a C4 and a shield makes sense. You're then also looking towards Evil Eyes, so there is a lot of utility for them to burn their way through here. Without the Wamai, it's not going to be as bad as it could be. But you still got to give a lean to the fact that there's also the ADSs to burn through as well. Probably part of the reason why you're seeing 2 sets of frags coming out of the side of Macko is they are bringing along the Iana. Something that we saw teams like Team C do an awful lot was bringing along this operator, not just because there are frags, but also because of the free drone / free intel that it gives you as well. No doubt going to be useful to them later on in the round.
I believe they droned Yuzu out before. They had a drone in dining and spotted out the fact that he had rotated over the small tower. I don't think they're ready to deal with him just yet, considering the spawn of some of these players. This bullet hole into this particular spawn peak is juicy, but he misses out on Kin and repelling into Armory, so it won't have much of an effect. But actually, what he's looking for is over towards Armory. I take it back. I thought it was a spawn peak, but this little pixel bullet hole here is actually looking over towards Armory. He's already pre-opened the window, and this will be the cheekiest kill I think Fonkers has got so far, and he's even managed to ace it before.
Ooh.
Oh.
He tried. Couldn't quite connect the shot. Didn't land any shots, interestingly enough, so nothing to be found there at the very least. But it's a saving grace of Macko. They keep all 5 players alive here, can now start thinking around the setup for the execute upstairs. They have got themselves playing downstairs, at least with a couple of members, but otherwise it's business as usual, looking towards getting this wardrobe wall open. And I think Elation already has had enough of that and just said, look, they're in Patricking it out. I don't think we can deal with it. Back away, maybe look for an alternative angle, drone our way in through Trophy. But as you'd expect, this is a 3-pronged setup from MnM here. This triangle of death where 3 players are just revolving around Trophy door, waiting for that push to come through and ready to get anyone down who gets too brave.
Bonkers has been able to rotate up to Big Tower, and Tev is very much aware of this fact. He's actually going super hyper aggressive. This is not an advantageous angle for him, and it is for Fonkers. That's a bit of a freebie onto Tev there. He got hyper aggressive onto a player he probably could have just held there. And as we get down to the 60-second mark, they're trying to use the Yana clone to spot out exactly which players are going to be playing inside of Kids, and Kinnan does get Yuzu. So that's the Valkyrie with the C4 gone. Done and dusted. No more C4s, which will go from below. I believe Yuzu was actually playing in that particular spot for almost over half the round. So will they catch Fonkers as well? Yes, they will. That's another freebie.
It's like going to the circus here. There's constantly freebies being given out to try and keep everyone happy, keep the kids smiling, and Macko no doubt smiling in a 4 versus 3. But that time is going to start making them very sad very shortly. 30 seconds remain, and the execute has got to be on the agenda. Smoke still singing out. It's going to waste even more time for them. And as we always say, this is where teams start to make mistakes. It's when that clock becomes the 6th man for the defensive side. That grenade not going to fly through and connect onto Jonka, meaning he can still sit here inside of game and ready to contest onto Sir Boss. In he peeks, he's straight into the Elder. It's all too easy for MnM. They bring down 1, they bring down 2, they bring down 3. Keenan might find a triple, but he's got to convert 2 more kills in rapid time, and try as he might, that's his all too ready with that Vector. MnM taking round number 7 and putting themselves up at 4 and 3.
I keep thinking to myself that if MnM win, and let's say they win by quite a small margin here, it'll probably come off the back of that clutch from Fonkers on the Thatcher over and dining. I think that particular round win and the way that he played that and gifted his team a win that quite possibly, had he played it any other way, he might not have gotten, has really propelled them on their attacking half to do quite well on their defensive half. That was a pretty promising and convincing win on that particular one, especially from the fact that Closet Wall did not get open in any way, shape, or form. So they're probably pretty confident as they move over downstairs, the laundry. I want to see how they hold this. I'm looking over towards a pretty standard meta composition. They'll probably extend out with a shield onto elbow. They'll have a couple of ADSs around the shield. They don't have OMI to play with here because it's been banned, so they're going to have to rely on users' ADSs for the most part. So they'll probably invest a lot of them over there. And then maybe a little bit of a freezer hold. I don't see this being too much out of the ordinary.
This is just playing into what we commented on way back at the start, if you remember, was that with the Ash ban coming out, there is far less utility available for most attacking lineups to be able to deal with the amount of utility brought by the side of the defenders. And once more, you see Goyo coming along with those Vulcan shields. You've got Standard Shield coming out of Nath, you've got the Banshees coming out of the Malusi, you've got the ADSs to burn through, and you have the Evil Eyes. This is a lot for Macko to deal with, and I commented way back at the start of Game 1 that from watching back Macko's game against Gamma, sorry, that's an M rather than an N, they're in a spot where they were just trying to peek things to get kills because they really struggled to get through a lot of the utility being thrown up against them. And I wonder here if MnM have seen that as well and just thought, you know what, let's make their job really difficult. Let's make them sweat by just putting up shields, putting up Evil Eyes, putting up ADSs, Banshees, just to slow them down and force them to make mistakes in the later moments of the round.
I think they've read into the fact that it might be a small tower push. Vonkers was looking for the drones, but wasn't able to get any except for that pre-placed. And they'll also barricade off Freezer to give him a little bit of a sound indication as to whether or not anyone pushes through. And my problem here is that we're sort of getting down to the 60-second mark in the round, and I still haven't really identified the push that Macko are going to make. Is it Freezer considering their placement here with the Thatcher? Where do they really want to push? I'm not entirely sure. And Volkers is being quite aggressive on this particular angle. He can do so and get a really good pick onto the Thatcher there. And actually, he took no damage? Wow.
Like ships in the night, just like in the previous round where we thought Vonkers had a wonderful position to get an opening kill. Doesn't quite connect. And, well, they walk away without anyone taking so much as a scratch. No doubt, just nastily shocked or surprised. So back downstairs they go. And you can see these setups being re-engineered ever so slightly here down to face the south. I think in some the push will come in from that direction for the side of Macko. As it stands, I think they're still a little bit split here. They got one looking out towards Freezer. They got one looking down towards Laundry. And I think now we will finally start seeing, I don't know, he's committed X-Chorus towards it as well. Again, maybe Phantom Pressure coming out as all players of Macko now have finally moved down to the south side of the map.
What were they doing for a minute 40? I mean, I could see the enter from over in Small Tower, but nothing has really been opened up for a minute and 40 seconds. Did they call a late rotate? Was there something they weren't expecting? There wasn't really a lot of roaming pressure, let's be honest, so I don't really understand, but now they've got less than 60 seconds left. My problem is that with that time delay, they haven't really got rid of enough of what they need, but there's a lot of projectiles raining out now, and I believe they've been able to pop some of the shields. No, they haven't.
How is no one dead? Like, Tats and Vonkers are both low, but no one's actually died so far. They are within a shot of death each, but still left alive. I always mention of how the timer becomes the sixth man for the defenders. We're getting down to that time, Jess, with 30 seconds remaining. And again, as you said, they still haven't dealt with all the utility that has been set up against them. I think the key shields have been removed, but now it's about execution. You've still got a few very healthy members on the side of MnM willing to contest, one of them being this ever-present Alder coming out of Junker.
I think they've got a really good position here to deny this. All five are alive. All Smoke Babe's gone, however. This will come down to absolute flurry of kills, and the Elder's the best one to go for it.
Oh! And fully aware that he was pushing in as well. The Zofia in such a critical spot where he could have caused a lot of damage, but no. Alder player was aware. Jonker was ready. MnM were ready. They adapted well when they realized what was coming out of Macko, and that is another round back-to-back. That's 4 rounds on the bounce. The MnM have now got themselves into a victory position, 5-3. And now you're starting to see that swing that we thought we might see coming into MnM's defensive side, where they are on the path to victory. And as mentioned earlier on, a shot at challenging for that spot in EUL.
I did worry when they had those 3 attacking rounds. I sort of said to myself, oh no, how coordinated will Macko be? They haven't played this map a heck of a lot. I keep saying they may have played it in scrims, but a scrim is a whole different arena to jumping into a competitive match against a team that is doing absolutely everything in their power to win. And they're adapting on the fly. They're not possibly practicing strategies here. They're implementing them. They're adapting, as I said. So for MnM, they want to win this. It's very clear. They obviously lost their map of Clubhouse. If you guys missed that out, don't worry. You can catch this VOD later or scrub back a little bit, depending what medium you're watching on. But after that map loss, I did question whether or not MnM had what it took to win the preceding maps. Theme Park, yeah, okay. It's hard to tell how Theme Park's going to go sometimes with its defensive sidedness. But here on Oregon, this is probably the best chance you'll get to see whether or not a team is the better team or not, really, outside of Clubhouse.
Well, let's see, 2 rounds, potentially all that remains of this best of 3. And it's the first best of 3 that we have had here in the quarterfinals that has gone to the third map, let's not forget as well. 2-2-0 the other day for Winstrike and Penta, who will face off against each other on Monday, I believe it is. And the same story for the winner of this game versus the winner of our next series, which is Gamma coming up against Homeless. Also not a series to be missed. Macko here, we've seen some wonderful performances so far this evening. I'm sure they can pull out some more. I'm sure this isn't the way that it has to end here with MnM just taking round after round after. So Macko, this would be exactly the same storyline or scoreline as what we saw coming up against Gamma, where they take 3 rounds in the first half and then nothing in the second. I really want to see if they've got grit to hold on here going into these last few rounds.
Oh no, they didn't drone that ADS, which had been smartly placed. A good concussion will rein in and give away Fonker's very aggressive position on the window. And now they're using a heck of a lot of utility here on this small tower where only one player is sitting. This is exactly what Fonker's job is here to do. 1, waste time, 2, waste a lot of utility, and he's doing just that. They have vertical holes below the window hop-ins as well, at least one of them. So you know for a fact that some of his defensive players are assisting if he does get pinched from both windows. My problem now is that they've wasted, and there's another. Actually, they're holding both of them here. So this is actually some of the most elaborate small tower hold I've ever seen. And finally, the grenade will collect, but Teb goes down as well. And this is what I mean. This elaborate setup, 2 verticals up onto the windows. I don't think I've ever seen that before outside of Chaos's small tower hold.
I love it purely because for so many teams on the attacking side, you will always go and take control of that small tower. You'll always look to contest those vertical angles and use those to your advantage. Why, as the defenders, wouldn't you try and fight back against those? It does bring a kill back for them. It's definitely not a massive light smash and grab for the side of MnM, but it does neutralize at least Teb off the field. Funkers being the sacrifice offered in exchange. Yonka's still holding inside a shower, and with a minute to go, he's still got both impacts on side. So you're looking at the side of Macko and asking, okay, you've got these Excaros, you have these Salmas ready. When are they going to start singing out, and what are you going to do once they start being denied away? That should be the first one coming out. There is one. Do we still have 2 left on Dats as well? Is he waiting to rotate in? Yes, we do. So I think once you see Yonka run out, you're just going to see Dats trade places with him, and they'll carry on doing the same thing time and time again.
They're obviously counting the impacts here, and the trade will come in to rotate it in. And actually, there is not enough Excaros to deal with this.
There's one more, right?
Does he still have the one to go with? No, he doesn't. He used them in the last impact and then the 2 impacts from Dats, so I can count this time, I promise you. And what was that? I don't know what's going on there. Of course, Jetta just decides to Hail Mary on in. And how did Yuzu get in small tower? Hello?
What? Did he run out? Oh, he jumped out by the looks because the window smashed outside of a double window. He's managed to get himself in. He's in a commanding spot. And look at that. First, you're firing into small tower. Then you're taking control of small tower. What an interesting setup from MnM that ultimately secures them a pretty convincing round.
That was just a mess there from Macko. A site that you're saying is the least defended sided site in EUL Stage 2 and in Challenger League as well from who have played it. My worry is that if Macko can't win that, which should have so decidedly been that site that they should have won, granted, that setup there from MnM, we've not seen from any other team before. I've never seen a team play those vertical holes that way with the addition of shields and go-go shields, ADSs in really smart places to be able to protect the Jaeger for as long as possible. That was probably one of the most innovative ways I've seen small tower ever held and probably ever will, because there's only so much you can do in that small tower area. And it's propelled them onto match point, and rightfully so, because I think they've just put up some excellent rounds here on defense, way more convincing than their attacking rounds.
Ooh. Okie doke. This is it. Do or die, Macko. You have one final chance. Well, technically not. You have 3 rounds to give yourself another second chance by taking things through to overtime. But you've got to pull it back from this point. MnM in a driving position here, and this is looking to go the same way, as I mentioned, as the game did against Gamma, where MnM now go back to their strongest site, and this should conclude as a 7-3, unless there's some nasty surprise coming out of Macko on the other side. The one thing I had to give a nod to, and we'll talk more about this no doubt in the post-game as well, is that for Macko, I've been impressed today. For a team that I not so much wrote off, but always regarded as a very frag-heavy team. It relied so much on the likes of Keenan, on Ted being able to run around the map and hit shots. Today, I've seen a slightly different side of them at points. That has been a big part of their gameplay, with Keenan and Ted finding multi-kills in numerous rounds. But even looking back at Clubhouse, they played that map incredibly well, and that has got to be respected.
Well, even if Macko don't walk away with the win here today and MnM get to propel themselves up into the semi-finals, the fight that Macko have put up against an undefeated Challenger League team has been immense.
Definitely.
We will absolutely give every bit a shout out there, and not because I just have a bias towards some of the players, and I'll freely admit that. I truly believe the likes of Keenan and whatnot have really stepped up here today. Teb as well had a great game. I just think that
Are you a parrot, Jess?
Why?
I literally just said exactly the same thing about 30 seconds ago.
Did you?
Yes.
My apologies. I will solidify what you've said there and go, yep.
Double down,
I
Jess. Double
absolutely
down.
agree.
Commit.
I'm committing. I'm doubling down on what you've said there. No impact tricks coming out from Yonka. Pretty interesting. Was that because he was being concussed from below? Very likely. And that will make this wall soft, I believe. And they'll actually be able to get a lot of that wall open. And that's all done in really quick time here. I think Macko have kicked into gear now. They've said, all right, we didn't get this open last time we pushed this site, but this time we damn will.
This time it is going to be so open, no one's going to have any idea where the wall once was. They have opened up pretty much the entire thing, and that now means that a push into game and a plant should be the next game plan. That's the default that we see for most teams. You get yourself in the top left corner of game, you go for a plant, and you are relatively covered from most things except for C4s from below and smokes being tossed in by the smoke player, who can be in numerous locations, normally inside a pig. They've got themselves downstairs to deny that C4 play, so it definitely screams to me, especially with the drone currently inside a game, that is 100% the go-to play here. The question is, A, can they do it in time? And B, can MnM fight back against it at all?
Dats is in a really precarious position here, and I think Teb knew that someone was downstairs, but he's not going to be able to commit to that either. I think that's the boss's job to be able to hold off on that line of sight below from Garage. He'll have a drone there and spot out if anyone tries to come over and C4. And now with 40 seconds left, there's a lot of opportunity here for Macko to bait out the plant, actually do the plant. Oh no, has Fonkus been spotted out? Yes, he has, and he'll get lit up considerably. Sabos barely missing out on that crucial kill there. He's trying to protect Yuzu, rightfully so. He's got the C4 to deny the plant, and here things go now. 4v4, 20 seconds left. Is this match point, or is this just another round here for Macko?
Does Yusus know that Serbos is pushing up below at the bottom of White Stairs, mind you? This could be a big power position if he gets control of that, because you can deny so much. But no, he does know, and he's not even looking up White Stairs. He suspected he might have gone elsewhere. MnM slaughter Macko on their entry into the site. They will take the series 2-1, but it has been one hell of a war to get to this point, and they will move through to our semi-finals on Monday to face up against the winner of our next series.
A well-earned victory there from MnM. Started off shaky, but they showed us exactly why they were undefeated up until this point, map-wise, through our Challenger League. And as you said, propelled up into the semi-finals, but it was a hard yakka to get there, let's just say. And Fonkers, well, he didn't quite step up this map. It was Nath this time to step up with the kills, but he absolutely propelled his team in on the second map into that victory and led them into the third map. I think a lot of those players on both ends of the spectrum here, both Macko and MnM, will be walking away pretty damn happy with themselves, because Macko, they put up a heck of a fight here.
They did, but unfortunately, despite it looking close at points, it was MnM who take the series the way that many of us expected. Some beautiful plays from different players all throughout both games and from the teams as a whole. I look forward to seeing what Macko can do in future, but MnM will progress into the next round. Let's go to the desk and get their thoughts on what has been a cracker of a series.
Definitely so, a cracker of a series. We came into this, all of